Hey, good afternoon, good evening, good day to everyone. I had an interesting start to the day. We got our FSD beta version 10.3 this morning, shortly before 3 a.m. My wife and I were traveling, visiting family, and got in rather late, so I'm a little unrested, but haven't had a chance to drive 10.3 yet. I have seen the screenshots of the release notes, and it looks really cool. I'm especially liking where you can set the personality of FSD. I don't like the rolling stops, so I'm gravitating towards chill, but I didn't get the P100D to drive in chill, so I guess what I'll probably be doing is normal and looking around for police. That way, if my car decides to blow through a stop, I can make it stop. Aggressive sounds even more fun, but with the way that folks around here drive, I don't know that it would be safe to have the car tailgating them when they decide to randomly slam on the brakes, because they are also following too close and something happened. So we'll see how that goes. There's a lot of news today. There's a bunch of Tesla stuff, and in addition to the Tesla stuff, there's a lot of non-Tesla stuff. But while we wait for everybody to stream in, let's take a look at this comment from Chungus Gaming. I'm sure that they were trying to be a troll, but just because I like Tesla doesn't mean that you have to get a Tesla. I just want you to go electric. There are over 20 options that are viable, affordable, and available today. In fact, on our Sunday shows here, we cover them all the time. In fact, one of the ones I like to talk about is the one that I call the electric Camry, which is the Volkswagen ID4. It's completely unoffensive. It's not terribly expensive. It's not very fast. It just gets the job done. It's unoffensive in every way. So there's that. Or if you're into a little more performance, you've got, of course, all of the Teslas. You've got the Ford Mach-E. You've got the Polestar. It doesn't have to be a Tesla. So join us, man. You'll enjoy it. Okay, so let's get started with the... Well, this is the first thing on my screen. Let's get started with the Tesla Q3 earnings call. I am not much on the financial stuff. It's not a stock show. It's not financial advice. If you see anything that you like, go talk to your advisors. If I say anything that seems interesting, look it up, then go talk to your advisors. It's not legal advice, etc. All right, so let's get into it. So this is the slide deck, and I'm just going to point out a couple of things that I found to be interesting. Of course, all the numbers. The profitability and revenue were incredible. But look at these market shares by region and how they're going up. This is just the tip of the spear, guys. Oh, the other thing that got to me was, look at this. Shanghai is already producing over 450,000 vehicles per year at run rate. It is hot on the tail of Fremont. Look at that, 500,000 and 100,000. They're going to increase the capabilities over at Fremont at some point in the next year by 50%. I don't know how, but I say that means that within the next 2 years they will definitely get to 50% or more, based on the fact that the way that they do their promises. Elon wasn't on the call, so I'd actually expect it to be closer to the timeline they gave, because as we all know, Elon can't read any timepiece, be it a watch, a clock, calendar, anything. But he's usually not too far off for a lot of it. All right, so then another thing that came up to me was these miles driven between collision graphs. That was interesting to me, that It's getting better on autopilot. Like we're at over 4 million miles between collision events, and even with just a regular Tesla, you're looking at a hair over 1 million miles per collision event versus about 500,000 for a manually driven car. They talked about the batteries, the vehicle software. One thing I noticed here was the Megapack only capacity for the Lathrop facility that's coming up. That is incredible. I mean, 40 gigawatt hours, and this is what they've been doing since the last year and all the way back to 2016. Megapack is it's going to be everywhere. I don't know what they have in competition. You don't see too much from the competition on the Megapack side. You usually see it on the what used to be the Power Pack and on the home sides with the Power Wall. And you're going to need batteries to electrify all the things, and to have renewable power run 24/7. You're going to need some place to store it when it is making it, and then use it later when it's not being produced. Because the sun doesn't shine at night, as the politicians like to tell us. And let me make sure I'm actually talking to you guys. Oh, I am, but on the wrong microphone. Sorry about that. Here we go. Much better. Okay, so then we had photos of the Giga Fair in Berlin. It's an impressive building, and that's a lot of people. They had a tour of it. This is the inside of the Austin factory. The office overlooks the floor, which I think is pretty neat. They've got quality control in Texas. So for those folks who are saying about Tesla quality, blah blah blah, Elon says that they're going to measure everything in microns now, and I don't think they're just changing the scale. I think literally he thinks it's going to get better, and this is one way they're going to do it with their quality control facility. I'm hoping that the new paint that we saw in Berlin will be available in Texas, because the same 5 colors is getting tiresome. That's why we all wrap our cars, right? This was just impressive to me. This factory's not done yet. It's getting there. It is huge. It takes minutes to drive by it on the freeway. This was new. The R&D center for Shanghai is now operational, and this is where the $25,000 Tesla is going to come from. I mean, not going to build it in the R&D center, but they're going to design it there and then build it in the rest of the world. I don't think that they're going to start exporting it from China to everywhere. I think what they'll do is they'll build it in either Fremont or Austin and Berlin and get it out that way, because I think that is going to be a bigger product even than the Model Y, which is going to be their best seller, they keep telling us. And it's starting to prove it when you look at all the different numbers. This was pretty cool. The inside of Shanghai, these are the Giga presses. So they make the entire rear of the Model Y in one piece right there. And then in Berlin and Austin, they're going to make the fronts of the car in one piece in these same machines. That's pretty cool. And this is just on the Tesla investor relations site. And those were some highlights. Let's see. Hey Eddie, let's see. Where'd it go? It moved. There we go. Overall, the industry hadn't put out a lot of nice looking EVs. Legacy those, yeah. I was looking at the BMWs that are being paraded about, and I personally don't get it. I don't get it at all. They used to have some really pretty cars at BMW, and I'm not feeling it. But there are some nice ones. I like the Cadillac Lyriq, the Nissan Ariya. They're trying. They're certainly trying. Hey, Exotic Geeks. All right. So the next item we have up is an Elon tweet. I mean, I know he tweets a lot, but this one's just random, and I wanted to talk about it for a moment. So he says that autonomy must and will work even with no connectivity. And I think that's important, because if somebody takes down the cell network while you're driving, I don't want my car to just either slam on the brakes or start running into things. And he's replying to somebody who suggested otherwise. A 5G lobbyist argues that it may be a long time before autonomous vehicles can reach cities. And I've watched my car numerous times on the FSD beta 10.2, and prior to that on just navigate on autopilot. where the car goes where it needs to go, knows what it's doing based on the stored maps and what it sees around it, with no signal, either because I'm driving in the middle of just BFE state in the country, or because I've rebooted it, or there have been AT&T outages while I'm driving the car as well, or interference, and you can see the little signal go to the signal bar with an X, meaning there's no signal. So I agree with Elon there that it must work with no connectivity. I as you may have seen in my 2 hour driving in the rain video, I advocated that they do augment the capabilities with connectivity. Maybe not car to car, because that's an easy way to A, get hacked, and B, kind of clutter everything up. But if each car could talk back to its mothership, so like in the case of the Teslas, my car could be on 95 North, and it could say, "Hey, I'm here," and then all the other cars could be doing the same thing, and then Tesla could say, "Hey, you're on the road with these three other cars," and then it say a Model 3, a mile ahead of me slams on the brakes. It can say, "Hey, I've just slammed on the brakes," and then my car could receive that signal and know to get in a different lane for one, and be ready to anticipate shenanigans as the time goes on. So he's right; it needs to work without connectivity, but I feel that there's nothing wrong with augmenting it, because if you've got superhuman abilities, why not use them? Why waste it, right? All right, so there were talk of recalls last week, and now we have a real recall this week. Porsche is recalling the Taycan to address potential issues with the hazard lights. The four ways may come on when they don't need to, which is better than them not coming on when you want them to. But this is a hardware fault, so you bring it in and they fix it. Let's see if they fix it in software. I read this so long ago. System works to design, however, activation in non-emergency situations can confuse other users. So it sounds like that's just a matter of the thresholds need to be adjusted, which is fine. I mean, my car turns on the hazards if I crash, and I turn them on if people in front of me are slamming on the brakes and being silly because they ride too close. So here is an interesting development that I found. Um, the first gen Leaf was not attractive by any means, but the second gen Leaf was all right. It was just a solid car. But the third gen Leaf is going to become an SUV. So, according to Autocar, uh, this looks all right. I mean, it's inoffensive. It's not bug-eyed like the first one. See, here's the current gen. Um, it doesn't look bad. I think it's interesting, and I saw some folks complaining that everything's becoming an SUV. I can't blame the manufacturers for selling what we're buying. I do think that their marketing has pushed a lot of us to unnecessarily large cars, but they've been making cars like sedans, and they've been selling less and less, to the point where I don't think Chevrolet makes any. Ford only makes the Mustang. No, Chevrolet makes the Camaro. But yeah, there's basically the entire market has shifted to crossovers, whether they're short or regular height. By short, I mean like the Ioniq 5 and them appear to be lower to the ground than some of the other crossovers out there. Pictures of this thing? Nope. Right, so this is one that I didn't get around to reading. I marked for myself to come back to. I'll put a link in the chat. Inside EVs had a chance to interview the Ford F-150 Lightning chief engineer, and they answered compelling questions. Uh, I'm excited about this truck. I think that it's going to make a huge difference in electrified vehicles, just because its gas version is already the best-selling car in America. So why pass up that opportunity? So let's see if they call anything out. Okay, so they have a video interview. I can't replay that. Stephen Loveday does good work. So let's do this. I'm gonna share the link in the chat, and then I will catch up with it later. Boop. And then let's go to the next one. So we've got Stellantis and LG are launching a new joint venture for the LG North American battery plant. And as we've been saying repeatedly, week after week, if you don't have the batteries, you can't make the cars. So, I mean, I guess you could throw a hydrogen tank in there, but then you have an even bigger problem because none of your customers, not none, but almost none of your customers can actually get anywhere because there are only a handful of stations in California and Canada. So, good luck with that. Um, so they've launched a joint venture to build batteries. As Elon is fond of saying, just give us some good quality batteries at a good price and we'll buy them all. They're not the only ones who need batteries. So a lot of these companies are either starting their own plants or making these partnerships to produce what they need. So this is going to be 30 billion euros. Let's see if they say where the plant's going to be. 40 gigawatt hours. That's going to be as much as the Megapack. Interesting. I promise I've read most of the stories, but a couple like these I just somehow slipped through the cracks. So if you're looking for a job and you want to work for Tesla, they've launched a new manufacturing website to recruit. And one thing I do like about the Musk companies is if you apply and you don't get the job, they actually send you an email back saying that you didn't get it. So you don't just sit there waiting and wondering what happened. It's a nice touch. They're not the only ones, but it's far too common when you're job hunting out there that they don't give you the respect of saying that they didn't pick you. Whereas they want thank you letters for interviewing with them, blah blah blah. It's like very one-sided it's become, which is a shame. So basically that would be at tesla.com/manufacturing, and I think it's tesla.com/jobs or /careers. Check it out for the non-manufacturing jobs. This one has been something I've been pointing out repeatedly, that the the only thing Tesla sells in South Africa up until now has been the Powerwall. And if you know the story of Musk, he used to get beat up when he was a kid there. He left and hasn't really looked back. But everyone found it conspicuous that they didn't have any Tesla vehicles for sale in South Africa until now, as of the 18th there. Let's see how they got there. They haven't made any announcements about offering vehicles for sale, but the first Model 3 has arrived. This one is actually, okay, I was about to say not South Africa, that's in Morocco. First long-range Model 3 was imported from the UK and has arrived. Okay, so this is very much like Thailand and a couple of other countries where they're actually a gray market car, so it's not official by any means. But first is first, right? Congratulations to the new owner. This page. What's something else? Oh, I see why. I see why. This is the Korean Tesla shop page, and it doesn't show what I need it to show. So cancel that, and we'll go to the Tesla Charging Twitter. Tesla Charging is an official Tesla Twitter account, and they say that the CCS One adapter is now available in South Korea at shop.tesla.com/Korea. Um, this was the interesting part to me. It says available in North America soon. The South Korean, Japanese, and North American cars all use the same charge ports. And we had been saying that, hey, since South Korea is getting theirs, we've got to be right around the corner. And now we've got an official account telling us the same thing. So this is super exciting. The disappointing part for me as a Model X owner is right now it only works on Model 3 and Model Y. But that could change. It's hopefully a software thing. When the Chatham adapter was out and the Model 3 came out, it didn't work on the Model 3 for quite a while, till weeks before the vehicle went on sale in Japan. And then they updated the software so it would work. Even all the way back to the original 2017 Model 3s. Not that there were many of those, but most of them were 2018s. Oh, Jesse, I'll get a link to that career site for you. Uh, Akide says everyone now has to get into the mining business. That is true. We saw last week that Chinese company has bought a Canadian mining company to be able to secure the nickel that they need. So bear with me while I get that career site link for you guys. So here is their regular site there. And then let's see if we can't get the one from the article. And this is the one from the article coming up next. So this was some good news. As I keep saying, electrify all the things. We found out that the Porsche Taycan is outselling the 911, which is good news. Hopefully, what this means now is that we'll see a Taycan version of the 911 because some people would prefer a coupe, and the Taycan is a sedan. So we'll see what we got here. Sales figures show that they delivered 217,198. Is that all vehicles? Yes. So the Taycan, where are the numbers for those guys? So the Cayenne was 62 grand. Okay, 61. There we go. 28,640 Taycans in January to September. A 10% increase from last year. Panoramas. Where is the 911? I'll take their word for it. I'm not seeing it. Let's see here. We got the Canadian government sells everything to everyone they can. Yes. I don't know why they don't just supply. You didn't need to sell your entire operation to the Chinese. It's kind of interesting. You're welcome, Jesse. Uh, North America doesn't always mean USA. It could be the British Commonwealth countries only. Um, it could be, but in Tesla's case, they mean their home country because it would be quite a shame to do that. There would be riots in the street. There are some people who have tried ordering the adapter, and it won't ship from South Korea. It won't take the North American payments for a lot of people. So what some people have done is they've got their friend in South Korea to order it and mail it to them. So we'll see when they get it and get it shipped how it behaves. I imagine it'll be very much like when I first tried to put my Chatham adapter in Model 3s. First, it just generic errors, and then when they updated one or two software versions in, then it would say, "Yeah, take this out. We're not going to do this yet. It's coming later." And then eventually, it just actually started working as it should. Okay, so this is related to that previous article. This one's from Tesserati. Yep, Tesserati. Toyota, Stellantis, Ford, and other OEMs have begun their battery pushes, and it must be done. So Toyota has also announced a $3.4 billion battery development in the U.S., uh, including $1.3 billion in a battery plant to produce in-house cells under a new company. This is Toyota, so they're going to start with hybrids instead of electrics, which is their loss. And then we talked about Stellantis and LG. And then there's another one coming with this whole Blue Oval City later in the show. And yeah, I mean, everybody realizes they're going to get left behind if they don't if they don't move. I mean, you've got till 2035 in some places, 2030 in others, and 2050 at the latest. Um, I heard in radio that Saudi Arabia is going to be going carbon free by 2060, which is super late, but I guess that's them admitting that that's when nobody will be buying their products. So there you go. Here we go. This next one is a Spy shot of Giga Shanghai. Tesla Gigafactory Shanghai is as busy as ever as Model Y orders open in the UK. I think that this is going to be interesting. We're going to see a flood of Model Ys leave this factory to get to the UK on time, and it's going to be another blowout. As we saw last quarter, they would just drop the ship off, and all of a sudden, as soon as the ship landed, it became the best-selling car for the month, for the quarter, for the year, and that's exciting. And I'm happy for everybody who's about to be getting their Model Ys. It's a nice car, and there's no reason to avoid it. I love it. Let's see. Next is this one. People were whining about. I don't know why, but Charles de Gaulle Airport timidly tests autonomous EV tuggage haulers. So these devices here that push the aircraft out from the gate or help them maneuver are going to go EV. And since my whole thing is electrify all things, I don't see why they're complaining. Maybe because it could have been better, but things can always be better. It's exciting. So this one's autonomous here. And so they're saying the autonomous EV baggage handling is nice and slow. As long as it gets there on time, if it's autonomous, that's the whole point. Is you don't need somebody sitting there watching it. You've got now this person who would normally drive the train of these things is able to do something else, like drive more of them or lift them from here into the plane or whatever it takes. Don't let perfect be the enemy of good. So this one I've got a link for you guys. All right, so I'm popping this in the chat, and then I'm gonna share it on the screen. What you see here is my face, but this showed up at Amazon. It's called the Modern Depot MX Truck Ride-On Car with Remote Control Cyber Style Pickup Truck 12-volt electric car for kids to drive, comma, painted silver. Look at that shape. Look at that shape. It looks a little familiar, doesn't it? So you can remote control your kid, I guess. That's pretty cool. And then they've got a yoke. It's very Cybertrucky from all angles. Let's see. They got a seat with seat belt. Got a rear trunk, openable doors, and anti-skid wheels. I guess that's that rubber track in the middle there. It's got a little music player, Bluetooth, charging port, USB. Oh, cool! It's dual motors. Look at that, four-wheel drive. And bigger space, more comfortable. This is one of their other products as well. They've got uh, some generic ones. Let's take a look at this video. The MX truck. They're basically not calling it a Cybertruck. Let's get it without the music. So they've got a police edition. They've got it in pink. I think they've got a blue one. I thought it was pretty cool. I mean, at least until Radio Flyer comes out with a Hawthorne Police. At least until Radio Flyer comes out with theirs. That's cute. I think the kids have a little bit of fun with this, and I was impressed at the low price on it all because when you look at some of the competing products, they are much pricier. Let's see what y'all have to say about it. I got it in the chat, Dan. It's right there. There are already electric plane movers. I think that was unique about that one is that it was autonomous, which is cool. All right. So, what do y'all think about that Cybertruck for kids? That's not a Cybertruck. Let's see, what are they charging for this thing again? They're charging $269 for it. So I was talking about what I call the electric Camry. Sure, Toyota wouldn't appreciate that, but if they would make an electric Camry, then I would have to use another word. So tough stuff, Toyota. Volkswagen's global battery electric vehicle sales have reached a new record in quarter three of 2021. Third quarter was better than the rush mark for quarter 2020. Let's see, numbers. There we go, 75 grand. So yeah, so they said that quarter four 2020 was really good, and it just barely edged it out. This is a positive trend. It's not the most exciting vehicle by any means, but it works. I mean, even when you look at their commercials for this thing, it's like a kid sneaking out of the garage. It's another kid asleep in the car seat. It just works, and it's the right thing to do. Go electric. Um, People will bring up Volkswagen cheating. Volkswagen's cheated since Dr. Ferdinand Porsche was around, so it be what it be. All right, got another video for you. This one is a spy shot of an airport in California. We can see rear wheel steering and Cybertruck with mirrors, and of course a tight turn. Uh, Elon tweeted after this came out that the mirrors would be removable. So then I looked into the laws of the areas where I travel, how many mirrors you actually need, and some of them you don't need any mirrors as far as the externals, and others you need the driver's side. So if I were to stay here, I think I could remove the passenger side mirror. It'll be fun, but I plan to move before my Cybertruck arrives, so I will be able to remove both mirrors. We got an article from Drive Tesla Canada on it, and then here's the Elon tweet that has that in there. I don't know how I didn't end up with the Elon tweet in my list. McLovin says I'm not okay with side mirrors on the Cybertruck. Elon says they're required by law, but designed to be easy to remove by owners. There we go. Thanks, Drive Tesla Canada, for that. Oh, then they had better photos. These are taken with a long-range lens through the California haze, and that's why they look like they were taken with potato. But these were taken. There's a still from the video, I believe. No, it's not. This is a photo. Then they've got more photos. So let's take a look. I think they're bigger if I just leave them on the website. So let's do that. So you can see that the windshield looks a little different on these. You can see the mirrors. I like these wheels. What it probably is the aero covers have been removed from the wheels, which is fine. I mean, they weren't the worst. They just weren't my style. More photos. This is Jacques von Jacques. And then here's a photo of the rear. It looks like the tonneau cover is either the vault cover is either open or it's the solar version. And then Drive Tesla Canada zoomed in on it for us so we can see them a little bigger. Yeah, the front is looking smaller too. It's definitely got the aero covers off. What do y'all think of that? Those mirrors don't look offensive from here. Curious what they look like in real life. So I'm wondering then if the darkness is the angle or just an effect of the light, or if they've actually wrapped them with something. Because it still looks dark even here. Okay, we're going in circles now. Yep. Okay. And then they're explaining why they look so so low quality. It's because they're actually really high quality, but from really far away. Here's the one of the photos, and then they're showing on a map where it actually was. And well, actually, this one's aerial photography, but they had a map for one of the other tweets. There we go. All right, so this is an older event. We finally got some clarity on it. Somebody got a brand new Plaid, and then they let their friend drive it. And the streets in this neighborhood were limited to 30 miles per hour, and the friend got up to 116 miles per hour, and they caught air and landed on a house. And it's a car that weighs 4,000 pounds plus, and it fell through the house. It ended up taking the life of the owner and their dog, the owner of the house. And I also believe the owner of the Model S was killed as well, if I was understanding what I was reading correctly. Take it to the track. If you ask Marcus, Marcus will say, take it to the track. And Marcus is traveling, that's why he's not here right now. Somebody had pointed out in the Twitter thread where I found this that it's a really good use for valet mode or chill mode. Let's see, and then Raphael, our friend Raphael, was pointing out that this is not a new incident, just in case you came across the news article for the first time and the way they presented it was as if it was new. And then Kim confirmed it's the same one. This is the car after they removed it from the building. Yep, that's what I thought. The GoFundMe link shows it's the same one. Let's see what else. Anything came up after I found this? Yeah, this is true. There's some people losing their money, so they got to bring them down. This one was much more fun than that story. Let's look at this. Oh yeah, exactly, Otis. Some people just can't handle it, and this is. I've seen this complaint before that that there were less of these happening before when this kind of power cost you $5 million to $10 to $12 million, and now you can get it for under $200,000. So there's a lot more people who don't have any skills being able to get behind the wheel of these cars. It might be interesting to make you supply some sort of performance driving certificate when you buy the car. Otherwise, lock it into a period where you can adjust and learn, or maybe they do like Porsche and BMW and others where they do performance driving day, and you bring your car to a local track, and then at that point they unlock everything rather than letting you gradually get into it. At the same time, you'd have the problem of when you sell the car, uh, if it's been unlocked and now somebody else has got that kind of power. It's I'm not saying that, that you can't. I'm just saying that it might be prudent to put some sort of extra precautions. Like with Dodge, you get the red key for the demon. So at least at that point, somebody knows they've unlocked all the power. They still end up crashing their car, but they can't say it was an accident at that point. So something much more fun than all of that. We've got for anyone who's got a Model X on order. These Model X's were spotted inside the test track at the Fremont factory. I don't think that they were putting them on the test track unless it was the handful of ones that you'll find that when you buy a Tesla, you'll either have like 2 miles or 50 miles on it. If you get 50 miles on it, yours is one of the ones that from that batch that went through the shakedown to make sure that they were all um, built correctly. Noise, harshness, vibration, squeaks, rattles were in spec. And so actually, if you get that 50-mile car, it's been tested better than the rest. But I don't think that these were all the 50-mile samples. I think they just ran out of space to park them, and they're just sitting in the dirt on the track. And we got something more on that coming up later in the show. Yes, coming up later in the show. I was thinking it might be right next. So they got some drone footage. Um, There's Model X, Model S, and 3. So they're just out of space. So I don't know how they're going to get 50% more cars when they're already out of space, unless they're going to load them straight onto the trucks from the factory, which is a possibility. All right, let's go back to Drive Tesla Canada again. Their Twitter this time. They say, remember their story about dealers paying insane prices for Model 3s? It was incredible. They say it's also happening for Model Y. This Vancouver area dealer, you can buy the Model Y SR for the long standard range for the low internet price of just $99,987 for a standard range Model Y. You can almost get a Model X for that price. He grabs the calculator. This is $43,697 above what it costs to get brand new for a used car. You could get a Model 3 for that. New. Mm. Mm-mm-mm. Hey, would you like to buy this from us? We have a question. This is wicked. And then here's the link to their Model 3 article. So brand new, it was 56,000 minus 3,000 for incentives equals 53,000 for the Model Y standard range in Canada. This dealer's trying to sell it for almost double. Mm. Dealerships do business models sell used Teslas. Hey, it gets people in the door. Oh man. I can see why everybody is interested in selling their Teslas now for profit. All right, so this is another article on the Stellantis article. This one's from coming from Reuters and Autoblog. They have a little sample of the Samsung SDI SL. Wait a minute, that's a different one, right? This is Samsung. The last one was LG. So Stellantis is uh, is making moves, which is good because they need a lot of batteries to do what they need to do. Because Stellantis is coming from behind. This one I wish had a longer range. The Wrangler 4xe. Then we had another one from Drive Tesla Canada. They had somebody go through a New York showroom and discovered a Cybertruck video. So let's take a look. There's no sound because it is a sales video in the showroom. And here we go. So this will be sitting on the TVs that are on the wall as you're looking at the cars waiting on a rep. So you got the Cybertruck leading in the Model Y. That's the chase vehicle, the Model Y. And this is that same first prototype we've seen. Then it goes to Austin. And now we know why we saw photos of the the Cybertruck driving through the factory. Because it was driving through the factory. It wasn't just sitting there on a shelf. Uh, um, I think they sped it up because the video that I saw of it driving in the dirt was much slower. And they definitely wouldn't be ripping through the inside like that. This is going to be awesome. I can't wait to take a factory tour of this. I guess once I go out there, I might as well take a factory tour of Fremont. See how long ago this video was? Like the half of the building isn't even there. It's going to be a fun car to drive. And then it moves into the Model 3. That's the new headlights for the Model 3. What's up, Clay? Uh, Otis is asking, do I have any guess on the new Cybertruck prices? I'm guessing a $5,000 to $10,000 increase. That would be about where I would look as well. I'd probably expect anywhere from 40 to 45 for the base model, and pushing 100 for the tri-motor. What I'm hoping is that they honor the prices for the pre-orders. Maybe within like 5 or 10, $20, something like that. I mean that's low, but like I don't want to see our orders jump like $5,000 just because they had something happen. what I suspect they did was that the new reservations going in today aren't going to be out until 3 years from now. So why hold yourself to that price for the new orders? And FSD beta is out, so they're now getting ready to raise the price for FSD again. So why allow people to reserve FSD at today's prices when they know they're going to raise them? So I'm hoping that that's what that was all about. Versus, there is a clause in the contract when you reserved it that they can change the price. But from what we've seen of how they've done it in the past with other cars, if you've reserved it, they honor it for a while. If you hang out with your order for a year and then try to claim your ticket, they're like, get out of here with that noise. But if you ordered the base model and it takes them an extra 2 years to make the base model, they still honor those people who got the price on their screen for the base model. Hey, here it is. Or even better, like they did with the Model 3 Standard Range Plus, they actually it was Standard Range, not Plus. It's Model 3 Standard Range. They uh, they gave you the premium car. They just turned off stuff in software. Same thing they did with the Model S40. They never actually built the base car. They just gave you a Model S60 and turned off some of the battery. So they generally do right by the people who reserved. Uh, that we saw like with Marcus, where for about a couple weeks they were trying to charge him the current price on the Model S Plaid. Like, hey, it's still cheaper than your Plaid Plus that you ordered, but eventually they did it for the right thing and they sold it for the price that it would have been if he had reserved a Plaid instead of the Plaid Plus, and and they were good to go. So I think that for those of us that have reservations in, we'll be fine. But as you said, five or $10,000 more is what I'm expecting to see for the people who reserve now with no price. And then if they continue to get reservations like gangbusters, I do expect it to just continue. Like right now, the Model S is $15,000 more than it was when the refresh came out. So I can see them pulling that move for the folks who reserved that didn't have a price on their reservation. Navy says, "Man, I have FSD Beta right now, and I give it a big old nah." um, I liked 10.2. Like I said, I haven't had a chance to drive 10.3 yet because I woke up and came here. So it's out in the driveway. It's ready to go. I've got my video cameras all charged up, a couple GoPros and some more, and I'm ready to see what it does. We'll probably eat lunch after this show and then head out there and see what it is. Yeah, I hope and believe that they will honor the price as well. All right, so we've got some exciting news for the most boring of companies, the Boring Company. They announced on their own Twitter that their logo is a black circle because they dig holes in the dirt. Uh, the Vegas Loop is expanding. It's going to get 29 miles more and 51 stations. So Clark County made an announcement, and they're quote tweeting that. Thanks to the great partnership to the commissioners and the unanimous approval. So here's some pictures. This is what the loop is going to cover now. The yellow is the existing loop with the 3 stops. And then you've got the blue is the extension. You go from Fremont Street to the airport to the stadium. Now the blue routes are going to cost. They're going to cost less than the Uber or Lyft. The yellow routes are free, so you can get from one end of the convention center to the other by just hopping in a car as if it was an elevator. And right now they've got about 30 Model S, X, and Model 3, Y, and X in the loop, and they're going to have to put a lot more in there. And then you constantly get people saying, "Oh, what about a train? Blah blah blah." A train. If I get on here and I want to come here on a train, we have to stop at all of these stops all the way along to get to here. Whereas with the loop, I get on here, it still has to travel that path, but it doesn't have to stop. It's like an express train, a personal express train for all of them. It goes straight to where I was trying to go. It's the exact opposite of an elevator. You get on an elevator and then you're going up and people are pushing buttons on you, and then you're stopping to pick them up as well. Nah, I ain't got time for that noise. Because they can pass each other. It is a 1-lane tunnel each direction, but each stop has a pull-off. They have to pull off to stop. So they pull out of your way, and then you can keep on going. And Right now, they're being driven by Tesla employees or Boeing employees, and what we expect to see is that they'll then turn on. We'll probably see full autonomous self-driving first in these tunnels because it's a completely controlled environment, and what better way to show that the thing works than to do it in these tunnels? And then once they say, hey, it's safe out here, then they can say, hey, let's try it here. And oh, by the way, these people with beta have been doing it here, and then we might see our real autonomous cars. The other thing about trains is they require bigger tunnels and they're more expensive. And since this is being done without taxpayer money, why not try something new? If we keep trying the same old thing, we're going to see what we always see. Because people say they're going to put in a monorail, they're going to put in a tunnel for a subway. My car is downloading another software update. Interesting. Maybe it's a good thing I didn't go for a drive. Navery, your car might be downloading an update. Sorry for the distraction. I'm not used to my car downloading stuff in the middle of the day like this. That's exciting. So as I was saying, the if you keep doing the same old thing and you end up with trains that are over budget, they're late, and they don't do what was promised, and then they have constant breakdowns, etc., just because of the way that the bureaucracies go. Uh, I say let's try this and let's see what happens. They've got three that they have projects that they've approved for. Let's see how they work, and if they're good, then we can go from there. Maybe we can do some taxpayer funded stuff. But right now, it's all private money and private tickets, and let's see what happens. I think I'm excited by it. I can't wait to go for a ride and see if it is everything that they promise. Especially if I get a chance to ride in it autonomously rather than with the safety drivers. So let's click into. Well, let's see what people had to say first. Then we'll click into the city suite, the county suite. This person rode the loop dozens of times. It's simple, fun, fast, and it's Vegas' best attraction. Uh, Congratulations. London Underground opened in 1863 between Paddington and Farrington. Gas-lit wooden carriages would be hauled by steam engines. It was hailed as a success, carrying 38,000 passengers on opening day. Um, how many did they say they're going to carry? Let's click into it. I think it was on the. No, it wasn't on there. Ah, here it is. 57,000 passengers per hour. No taxpayer dollars used to collect on the project. And then another copy of the map. There you go. See, I mean, this kind of thinking, this all or nothing, right here. The car bad, train and the bus good. I mean, yeah, you could put buses through there, but it's the same problem of you have to stop at every stop. Then at that point, say there's nobody at the station, but like twice a day. You only have to have one car sitting there or one car near there for when they open it up on the app and call them up. And you could situate them all right here if somebody's having a convention and these are their hotels and this is the convention center and they're not really leaving this area. And then when they all leave and they're all going to and from the airport, you can have them going between their hotels and the airport and have them staged and ready to go. I don't understand this attitude of not willing to try new things, especially when it doesn't hurt. Because now that they've got the tunnel, they can actually put a small train in there if it turns out to be all this bad stuff this person's thinking it is. Well, I don't know about no brake dust with the way I've seen my autopilot drive. No fires, no credit cabin, blah blah. Yeah, I like that part. Uh, what? This person doesn't even understand how EVs work. I mean, if you use pure regen, which you certainly can do on all these cars that they've got in the loop today, and will have in the future, they they don't have to use the brakes if they don't want to. Yeah, I mean my brakes. I have to actually try to get the rust off or put it in autopilot after the rain. A train can fit more people, but yes, they're not all going to the same place. These people. Like I understand that less cars is good, but you're not going to convince most of the world to just give up all their cars overnight. You could probably get less people into a car if you made it feasible to get to where they're trying to go, or if they could share a car. I mean, okay, so I'm done with this person. Let's go on. Okay, so I did load up the Clark County tweet separately because I'm smarter than that sometimes. And this is a shot of the current loop underground station. The other two stations they've got today are above ground. So you come down straight out of the convention center, and then you walk to whatever car the app told you to get, and then you get in the tunnel. So you see the cars are not in the path of travel. So while people are loading and unloading, they're not slowing down everybody else. You don't have to mind the closing doors, please mind the gap. You just get in and at your own pace. You're not holding anybody else up. You don't have the people giving you looks when you jump in at the last second before the car is actually about to pull off. And say you've got some folks with limited mobility, they don't have to feel like, oh, I probably shouldn't go during rush hour because I'll hold everybody up. If they even care, a lot of people don't care. Like, hey, I have every right to use this as much as everybody else, which is true. But some people, they don't want to feel that they're holding people up from getting to work, and so they end up holding off their journeys. There's no reason to hold off your journey with this. You just take your time, get in comfortably, and then when you close the door, buckle up. It's ready to roll on. And then when you get where you're going, you can get out as comfortably as possible. You don't have to just roll out. You can, you know, just comfortably step out of the car, and then when you're clear, the cameras see it. They drive off, and then they get the next person. I think that it's worth trying. All right, so more good news. The Tesla has achieved a annual run rate of over a million cars. Incredible milestone. I think you rounded up. It's actually like 999. Yeah. No? Yeah, it's over a million. You're right. Same chart I was just looking at earlier in the show. Did you see the tweet about the 10.3 braking issues? I haven't seen the 10.3 braking. I've seen 10.3 failing to operate. Um, and I wonder if that's why my car is updating again now. Let me pull up the app and see how far it is on the download real quick here. 28% on the download. Uh, Interesting. So obviously, whatever it was something they felt they had to fix right quick. Uh, Off topic, you have an older hardware CPU, so you can't get FSD. How much faster is the $1,000 upgrade? So on your Model 3, the AP 2.5 computer it came with versus the Hardware 3 computer is substantially faster. It makes decisions faster. It has more redundancies available to it. Although with these latest builds of the beta, it actually doesn't run in full redundant mode anymore. It actually uses splits up and uses both chips to do different things now. If you purchase FSD, then it's included in the purchase price. If you subscribe to FSD, you'll have to give them the $1,000. They'll give you the upgrade at that point, and then you'll be able to go on and off the subscription at will. So depending on how long you plan to keep your car, it might be worth doing a full on purchase. But if you're only going to keep it another 2-3 years, then I would say do the upgrade and then rent it because you do have to amortize to get all your money's worth from that. Unless you're afraid that they may raise the price of the subscription, then owning it would insulate you from any chance of them doing that. Does that answer the question? Okay, so I will never be able to experience the braking issues because by the time I'm done with this, the car will have been started updating. Let me turn off Sentry Mode before I forget. I always forget to turn off Sentry Mode before I start an update. All right, so that's why I've got house cameras. I don't need them on the car in the driveway. All right, so next up, we talked about the record revenue for quarter 3, so I can skip this one. This one was interesting. The world's fastest growing brand for 2021 is Tesla. up 184%. So this chart from Intellibrand shows the best global brands for 2021. You've got Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, Google, Samsung, Coke, Toyota, Benz, McDonald's, Disney, Nike, BMW, Louis Vuitton, and Tesla. I don't know why they're so far down the list with numbers like this. Everybody else is in single and double digits. What a weird chart. They're not in any sort of order, are they? It's not alphabetical because Microsoft would be behind Google in that case. Coca-Cola would be before a bunch of them. Interesting. 184% year over year. Awesome. Yeah, so they had an all-time high this week of $900+ per share, which was really freaking cool if you're invested in Tesla stock. So speaking of FSD beta, some more. Some folks have a laptop privacy camera cover over their mirror cameras, and if you try to turn it on FSD, the car will tell you, "I'm blind. I'm blind. Fix it," and then you can turn on FSD. Otherwise, you won't be going anywhere. At least not with the car driving. Another situation that came up is right here. So if you get 2 or more strikeouts, which is if you get put in autopilot jail twice, the car will let Tesla know. It'll narc on you, and they will send you an email. If you get 1 strike per 5 kilometers, or about 3 miles, while driven on autopilot, if you get the reminder to hold the wheel and the flashes and the beep, but it doesn't kick you out of autopilot, if you get too many of those in 5 kilometers, it'll also narc on you. And when that happens, you get an email from Tesla, which is this whole thing. "Hello, you're receiving this email because telemetry from your vehicle has flagged improper usage of FSD beta feature. Specifically, while using the FSD beta feature, you or another driver of your vehicle has received these infractions. This is your only warning to please keep your hands on the wheel and remain attentive at all times when using autopilot. The car is not autonomous, and if you are not paying attention, a crash could happen, and you or others could get hurt or worse. So failure to abide by this warning will result in the removal of the FSD beta feature from your vehicle. Signed, the Tesla team." Another thing that triggers this is on the cars with an internal camera, if you pick up your phone and look at it. Boom. So it's beta. It's not done. It does the wrong thing sometimes. Like I found myself several times opposing traffic, or headed towards being in opposing traffic, depending on how sharp the turn was. So then I had to correct it rather quickly. You don't want to be facing opposing traffic for long. I think this is the right move because we end up with folks like that guy in the back seat in Southern California, talk about how he owns the city and how rich he is and how many cars he can buy when they take them away. We don't need that. There is going to be a crash. The autonomous future doesn't promise no crashes. It just promises safer. And if we've got folks running around not paying attention to what the car is doing, then there's a chance that will happen faster. And since it's gonna happen, why not let it be a true accident rather than a case of negligence, where we've already seen where like with the police incident where 5 police cars were hit by a drunk driver using autopilot. No car today, before this update for Tesla for the flashing lights, does anything about stop traffic because with the radar crews, it's already filtering out stuff that isn't moving. And if they're not directly in your lane, it doesn't care. And even if they're directly in your lane, if you're above the detection threshold, like say it's got a 50-mile range and you're doing 70 and they're doing 0, that's a 70-mile range. And so you're 20 miles out of its being able to detect it. Regular cruise control never cared what was going on. It was just trying its best to maintain the speed. And then you had just human pilot. Humans have been crashing forever, drunk or not, tired or not. And why not why not reduce the chance of this inevitable crash happening? Or delay it, I should say. 1,000 is the better move. I don't plan to do the 10K rental 2 to 3 times a year at most. Yeah, exactly. I find that from what I've seen of 10.2, and since I've never seen 10.3, what I'm finding is that if you do like I did and you had a chance to get the car from day one with today's features at today's price, and you can break up your payment, then that would be kind of cool. But as you're saying, to do it with the later on, if you don't plan to keep the car the whole time, it might not be it might not make the most financial sense. So renting it when you need it is good. Good evening, Anders, and thanks for all the retweets. I do notice them. I just don't have a way to click like on retweet without liking my own post. I don't want to seem narcissistic. Okay, so coming up next, speaking of crashes and irresponsible drivers, what a nice lead in. Brandon Paddock is tweeting about, remember that self-driving Tesla in Texas where the media claims that there was no one in the driver's seat? The NTSB investigated and found the steering wheel was deformed from driver impact, and the electronic data recorder shows that the driver manually drove into the tree. I mean, it's a shame those two men lost their lives, but same thing we were talking about responsible reporting several times. Okay, so here's the quote from the NTSB after they finished their investigation. The event data recorder shows, with the assistance of the EDR module manufacturer, so this isn't even Tesla, this is people who made the chip for Tesla, the NTSB Recorders Laboratory repaired and downloaded the fire damage EDR. Data from the module indicate that both the driver and passenger seats were occupied, and the seatbelts were buckled when the EDR recorded the crash. The data also indicate that the driver was applying the accelerator in the time leading up to the crash. So this is the same thing I was always talking about, where when people accuse Tesla of the car doing an unintended acceleration, and Tesla says, and then they keep on going, and Tesla says, all right, here's the data, second by second. And NTSB did the same thing. Maybe not second by second here, but the accelerator pedal was pushed. The application of the pedal was found to be as high as 98.8%. So yes, same way Tesla does it. So almost completely to the stops. So I wonder if what was stopping him was maybe his shoes. The highest speed recorded by the event data recorder in the 5 seconds leading up to the crash was 67 miles per hour. So, I mean, you hit a tree at 70 miles an hour, your car, gas or electric, is probably going to light a flame. And
wasn't this a 25 mile per hour speed limit street?
I don't even know if it was that high. And then people will wonder how you get to 70 miles per hour from your driveway. It's a Tesla. It can do it.
You ain't no Tesla.
Right. So I found that my car, it is a P100D. I leave it in ludicrous mode all the time. Not ludicrous plus, just regular ludicrous mode from
You just
the
leave it
stop. Huh?
You just leave it in ludicrous for no reason.
I paid for it. So anyway, I'm sitting there at the stop bar, and by the time I cross the other side of the intersection, I can be at extra legal speeds. So what I tend to do is, I do launch from stoplights. So what I do is I smash the pedal all the way to the floor, I hammer the lightning pedal, and then halfway through the intersection I lift up, because at that point, assuming there's a higher speed road like a 60 or a 50, at that point I'm already doing the speed limit. So you gotta let up. If it's like a 30 or 45, I just give it a little pulse, even less than half the intersection, and I tend to stay out of trouble. So
I like how you said before you get to the other side of the intersection, you're already above speed.
right. Yeah.
This is
Huh?
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
The crazy thing that I don't think a lot of people are picking up on right here, they didn't take Tesla's information. Like Tesla would give them the information.
Yeah.
They found the chip. They found the people who make the chip. They took the
Rebuilt
chip
it.
to those people and said, "Hey, give me every information you can. If you see NCIS, Abby the heck out of it. Do your data magical work. Pull all the information out and give it to us." And this is not even, you can't even say Tesla is trying to front this or sideways any line of tests. It's the people who make this, and by all means, this should be the one source. This should be the one thing that is outsourced from Tesla for the
Yeah.
safety reasons. But they went to the module manufacturer, told them this has been fire damage, fix it the best you can, and give us the information. And that's what they did. There is no way Tesla's like, we're going to make this so it doesn't look bad on us, even if they tried to. The NTSB was smart enough to go to the module manufacturer and was like, this was in the black box. The black box was beyond repair,
Burnt.
but can you fix this?
Yeah.
And that's what the black box does. So now with this sets a precedence to where every governmental safety board across the country and across the world should be able to take the chip that records this sensitive stuff if the black box is somehow damaged, which this one obviously was,
Yeah.
and be like, here, do as best as you can, because if Tesla puts this on your chip, then you're going down. So they have every opportunity to be like, hey, we'll fix this and it's not on us. And that's what I love about this article, or this, especially this little clip, because they really did do that. That's
Yeah.
funny from Brad.
Yep. My buddy Brad here, he said the 2009 Toyota accelerator scandal has entered the chat, and he's not wrong.
And that was a floor mat, no less.
Well, allegedly floor mats. In that case, where it was true was some people were putting double floor mats on and they were sliding up. But where it wasn't true was people were mistaking the pedals. They had their extra padding shoes on, and they were forgetting where the brake and the gas were.
Not only that, every manufacturer has adjusted accordingly, because every car I've been in since then, you literally have to yank it. It's one of those little clips where it steps over. You literally have to tug at that thing.
Yeah,
Like
to get it off the
full
floor.
grown. Yeah, think you're about to yank it out before it comes
Yeah.
out. So that was something that every manufacturer learned after that fact. It's none of that grip stuff. No,
Right.
you have to yank it out of the floor.
Yeah. And then there's, all of this started with the Audi 5000 scandal. Same situation. It actually wasn't all that, like, in retrospect, when they went back and looked at it, it wasn't really all that much closer together with the pedals than others. A lot of it was just people panicking. And
go back to the Audi 5. What was the Audi 5000?
That was the first car with unintended acceleration.
Okay, see, now I was the day years old when I learned that I'm out like Audi 5000 came from that scandal. I never knew what it meant, but now I know what it means.
Yes.
Okay. Safe Audis.
Yeah, exactly, Anders. The media has said almost nothing. I've seen one. I think Dana Hull was the only person who put anything out there about it, and I mean she gets a lot of flack because she the way that she runs, but I find her reporting is. I mean, there's bias in there for sure, but I find that her reporting, she tries her best to be like a real reporter, straight. And I mean, I'm not saying she is a real reporter by trade, by training, by life experience, but she's not trying to be one of these pundits that's doing it all for the clicks, and I respect that. I may not agree with everything she writes, but I do respect.
She admits when there's new information for it.
Right. She goes back to, hey, that story I read about 9 months ago, here's what actually happened. Versus just tucking it on the rug, I was wrong, and nobody needs to know about it. I mean, that's the way you do it. Eddie's asking me, why Ludicrous for everyday driving? Why not?
Like, gonna be like, you want to race, man?
No, I don't even have to race. I mean, I just like to go fast.
I like to go fast.
I mean, just because the speed's on tap doesn't mean that I'm speeding everywhere.
What's up, Omar?
I mean, my Model S90D, it only had sport, normal, and chill, and I left that thing in sport mode all the time, and and it would be at 60 miles an hour by the time it could cross a large intersection. What's up, Omar?
What's up, everybody?
So my car is now installing 2021.36.5.1. So I didn't even get a chance to try beta 10.3 as it was released this morning. So I get to try the patch to 10.3, after this.
So you got to update right after the other update, before you can even try the first update.
Right. So I'm
They're
curious what the
moving
notes.
fast.
Right, I'm curious what the notes will say on it, but I'm also excited that means that I missed whatever the drama this morning was about.
Yeah,
There's a
because that
guy.
must have been a serious flaw in there for them
Right.
to patch it so quickly.
Right, especially they held back from Friday night when it was going to come out because it was doing bad stuff on left-hand turns at green lights. So then this previous patch that I'm patching away from was to fix that, and then now this one's getting fixed. I saw a guy complaining about he's on a road trip right now, and it looks like his car's autopilot computer is in insomnia mode. You've probably seen this on yours, Omar, where you have Sentry mode on, and then when you come back, the car's just blind. When it gets back, it can't see anything, and it's acting a fool. So what you have to do is you turn off Sentry mode for about anywhere from 5 to 30 minutes. For me, it tends to be 10 to 15 minutes. Turn off Sentry mode, close the car, lock it up, let it go to sleep, and when you come back, whatever was keeping the FSD computer awake is able to recover itself, and then it starts behaving like normal. And so that procedure seemed to have worked for these folks. Usually it happens when you leave Sentry mode on for a few days at a time, like a whole week. And none of these people had Sentry mode on for a week because they just updated at 3 a.m. So or later. And then there were other issues I heard about. I don't know what they are, but Eddie's making fun of your brown shirt.
My brown shirt. Don't hate. We vote.
Vote.
Early
Speaking
voting
of,
started in
yes.
New Jersey, so
Nice.
had to go out, rock the vote.
There you go. My ballot came in a couple of weeks ago. I need to fill it out and get it turned back in. It's right there. It's at hand. I'll do that after I go driving today. All right. So
That's all right.
next
You
up,
got time. Just make sure you do it. That's all.
well, we're in the last week of the month now. So, is it last week of the month or second to last? Yeah, we're starting the last week of the month coming up on tomorrow. So I'll get it done. At least Monday is the first. Perfect. Yes, if you're in the U.S., vote.
Got to do it.
You get what you vote for. If you don't vote or you protest vote, you get garbage. So
If you don't vote, don't complain. I don't want to hear it.
right. So next up, we've got Michael Sheets is reporting that the ISU SSP team, they are the ISU Space Studies program, submitted a proposal for IAC 2021 that studies using SpaceX's Starship as the foundation for lunar base. I can't read that from here. The proposed concept uses the SpaceX Starship human landing system as the foundation for a lunar base. The Starship will be placed horizontally on the lunar surface and transformed into a habitable volume. So basically, the same lunar lander that we've seen that they won the contract for, to the objection of Jeff Hu, they're suggesting you tip it over and chop it up and make a living space with room for expansion. All right, I could go for that. I mean, I was thinking they were going to do that as it was, with it just standing there, but you could probably make more useful room lengthwise, especially if then you bring in additional modules and line them up.
That's an interesting concept.
Yeah,
Idea.
I thought that the
I mean,
moon base would be.
I like the creativity of that.
Yeah. I always thought that the moon base would be domes, but they have a point here. Like, look at radiation limit exposure to 2.5 sieverts for male and 1.75 sieverts for females. Time management for emergency situations. All right. I mean, the ship is made of stainless steel, so it's a good recyclable material to use.
I mean, it does make sense. You're sending that up there for them to get there in the first place. Like, use that as the base.
Yeah, I thought they were gonna just like leave it vertical, but they got points. Like, if you convert the fuel tanks and everything. Wonder if it mentions any solutions to the engines that be the end of life result. Why not remove them? Use a rover transport to another starship. Take the payload back. Yeah, that's true. You could recycle them. Just store it on the moon as backup if one of the landed ships has issues. For clarity, the tanks aren't cut. That's just a cutaway view. Okay, so you would still be living in the tank. You would just empty it of the chemicals. And you need to use a low
Well,
impact
isn't
horizontal.
one of the fuel sources is what, liquid oxygen or something, right? So
Yeah, liquid
now
oxygen
you're
and
you're
methane.
using oxygen
Yep,
anyway. You can use that
exactly.
to help sustain life on it. So
Mm-hmm. So what I was getting at, but Elon said no. where? It's scrolled. Okay, no. Would Starship be able to lay down on the surface of the moon and Mars and make a permanent habitat if needed? Linear seems better than vertical for long-term use. Elon said no. So I guess unless he's changed his mind, I guess that this proposal is going nowhere.
but then
That
again,
settles
I
that.
mean, okay, so let's say you keep it vertical. How much
Yeah.
gravity is on the moon? It's
Was
less
it
than
eighth?
it's less than here, right? So
Yeah, I think it's the eighth.
I mean, does that mean it could still be practical and still usable to vertically?
Yeah, you can still use it vertically. I mean, we have skyscrapers today, but then we
Right.
also have
So
strip malls as well.
it's true.
If you can
So
anchor it,
I mean, you could
everything will
use
stay
it
on
use
the
it like a skyscraper.
Yeah, I think that's what Elon's going for. All right, so we just talked about the CCS adapter. Remember, for these, I tend to go in the order of the week that I experience them in, but not always. So I could surprise you. But so I saw the adapter and I saw Tesla mentioning it, and then Drive Tesla Canada is showing us it in use. So this little thing here, oh, my car stopped charging, so it's now in the updating chips phase. We're going to be interrupted like this for the rest of the day. Sorry, guys. So this little pin appears to just be for stability on the charge port. And because the CCS plug is much larger than the Tesla plug, and I imagine that that's just to help keep some of the stress off of it. Or to line it up right, one or the other. So we can see it's not that big compared to Omar and I both have a CHAdeMO adapter. Do you have it with you, Omar?
It's in the car right now.
Okay, never mind.
But yeah,
Mine's
that
definitely in
thing's
the car.
huge.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
has a long cable that goes to the Tesla end.
Yeah, just imagine the first
And
2 feet of a supercharger cable has been hacked off and then stuck to this plastic adapter. That's and
pretty
then the plastic
much
adapter has like a fire hose handle, well, I guess not a fire hose handle, a
it
watering
has a
can.
big huge thing because the
Yeah,
CHAdeMO system itself is it's much more is more cumbersome than
yeah,
CCS.
yeah,
So it has to have this big huge receiver. It's like it's huge.
exactly. All right, so then we've got all right, so my buddy in Virginia Beach also got his software update. He's like, why is the number going down? It's like I'm just gonna take it because I would much rather not have something that's gonna frustrate me for a month or 2 weeks or however long that we're gonna be having this thing. All right, so according to the product details page, it can handle 500 volts and 300 amps, which should mean 150 kilowatts. Or if you're using it on Model 3 and Model Y, you might expect 120 kilowatts. Um, this guy on Facebook, when he got his, he saw 60 to 70 kilowatts. I am thinking that this has a lot to do with his charge level because mine charges best from 10 to 30%, but other folks theirs charge best from 10 to 25% or so. So it all depends on what battery you have, and of course if your car is preconditioned. Since the car doesn't know about these CCS sites, it doesn't precondition the car's battery to take a charge from these. So I don't think they'll be seeing the best rates. I'm wondering then if what we'll get in a later software update is the ability to say, hey, this is a charger I'm going to precondition to destination.
Well, I'm wondering.
But he got 66 kilowatt, which is still way better than we can get with the CHAdeMO, which maxes at 50.
50,
Most I've ever
yeah.
seen is 48.
The last time I charged with the CHAdeMO, it only got about 20.
Yeah, I used to get
it was
38 to 48.
It was just that station that I was at, I believe.
Exactly.
But that 20 was still a lot better than the other chargers that were in that particular parking garage, which were all 40 amps. So I would have maxed out at 10. So instead of 10, I get double. Yeah, I was happy with it because the length of time I was staying at the spot anyway, it worked out perfect.
Okay, and so real quick, Casey, for some of our viewers that may be transitioning over to the EVs, the basic gist of this is that it doesn't charge as fast. So you might get a pump where you're sharing it with somebody else and it just travels slower, right?
Right.
Well, not so much that you're sharing, because with the DC fast charger stations that are CHAdeMO or CCS, they usually are not paired. They're not
usually
like,
not. There are some that are set up just like superchargers where they do share.
There are some, but most of
They're
them
rare.
Most of them are not shared.
Singles.
Usually, when you see them with two different nozzles, basically, it's two different. If you look at them, they're usually two different standards. It's like one is CCS and the other one is CHAdeMO. So that way, more cars can utilize them.
I'm talking about in this method.
And then the worst one of all you get is where it does have two of the same, but the first car charges and then the second car charges. It's like getting yourself in line. You plugged in and now you got to wait completely.
Okay. It's just a little thought for the people who are ICE owners thinking about transitioning over, because y'all said a little technical that I'm familiar with and that y'all guys are familiar with, but those who are looking at these numbers going, well, what does that mean? I thought I can charge within 15 minutes, and it gets to something that's like 30.
Well, yeah, so it depends on. You need to learn the difference. You're absolutely right. But going into it, do your research, learn the difference between, the DC fast charging standards, which there's like multiple standards. Basically, at this point, there's like three main DC fast charging standards. There's Tesla, then there's CCS, and then there's CHAdeMO. Exactly. And then you have,
and then there's the Chinese one as well.
Yeah, but so we're talking about in the U.S. for the U.S.
Okay, in the U.S.
But then you have your level 2 charging, which is, there's different connectors, but they're all basically pretty much the same. Which is going to be, that's the type of charge that's going to give you a charge up in multiple hours. So you're going to be measuring that in hours, as opposed to the DC fast charging, which you can measure that in minutes.
Yeah, the most minutes is 90. Yeah. The least minutes is like 5 to 15. Otis, I agree. If this thing is available in the U.S. before the holidays, that'd be great, because I plan to be taking some trips that have CCS nearby, but not superchargers. And thankfully, my Thanksgiving trip will be to my grandmother's inn, and they have a Tesla destination charger there. So
nice.
Yeah, visit the Palmer Inn in Falmouth, Massachusetts.
Hey, shameless plug. I like it.
It wasn't shameless. Comes to charging the difference with everyday driving and road trips. Exactly.
Yep.
What's up, Zach? Okay, so it's bouncing around here. What's going on? Okay. We were talking about the Ccs Adapter. I'm excited. Ducati. They don't make any electric motorcycles, but they're going to supply all the electric motorcycles for the Moto E races.
How does that work?
What could possibly go wrong?
Why didn't they partner up with Zero or somebody?
Zero or Polaris?
I was just about to say that.
Yes. Why didn't they partner up with somebody who's already making them instead of
Harley Davidson?
You're just thinking about getting into the market.
Harley Davidson,
you want to be the first ones. Yeah. Supply all of ours.
Yeah, so you got three major brand names right there. You got Polaris, you got Zero, and you got Harley Davidson. Why not go with one of them that actually knows what they're doing? I bet you it's a case of like they bid lower than the others.
Okay.
This is one of those moments where Ducati has a known brand, and we know they're foreign. Correct me if I'm wrong. If Ducati is not foreign, but they can partner.
They're Italian.
Okay, so they could definitely partner with a U.S. bred and born manufacturer like Harley to make a super sports bike and just be the best of both worlds. Like, now you can get that muscle overseas, create that little gap, and then you can get this
Well, this is just for a race, one race. So
no,
like,
I get that, but this is going to
this-
come out into civilian world
But
regardless.
this isn't
Okay?
even about. I mean, I'm not even talking about whether it's a local company or a foreign company. It doesn't even matter. My thing is just we're looking at you have companies that already have experience making, electric motorcycles, and you're going to go with the one who's never done it before.
this is like letting Jeff Who make your rockets instead of SpaceX.
And Jeff Who had to poach a lot of people.
And higher price.
Although
I mean, at least go with Boeing because Boeing's done it before.
Right.
I mean, it does look good, but this is a render. Clearly, it's a render. I mean, it looks good though.
I mean,
I've seen smaller companies who make hand bikes.
That's great. Ducati knows how to make fairings and make the bikes look pretty.
Yeah.
Wow. But what's underneath, it matters.
Exactly.
It's like Data from Star Trek. You're not the same underneath.
All right. So
good luck to Ducati on that one. We'll see how that works out.
This one is a tweet from Tesla Club India. They're reporting Plaid Nürburgring EV record of 735.579. Congratulations to the team who made this possible. So this was a case of there's a video to watch. So let me get you guys the link because I have a feeling this will be a case of them striking me on the YouTube, and I don't need a YouTube strike, but I did want to share it with you guys. No, I don't want that. I want to share it. There. Copy the link to the tweet. Put it in the chat. It's a quick little video to watch. So, like I said, get them off my screen just in case they try to strike me on it. I don't think they will, but it doesn't look like they made the video since it's in English instead of Indian. I don't know what they speak in India. This one's fun. I mean, I know they speak English in India, but usually what I find is that it's in another language, not English, as they're marketing. They speak the Queen's English there. Tesla's safety score system will be key to in-house insurance affordability, according to Teslarati. Simon has a piece on where they're suggesting that the safety score will be the secret sauce for Tesla insurance, and I tend to agree, because they're not looking at how old you are, if you're married, what your credit looks like. They're looking at how you actually drive.
And then since they have all the
actual
data.
risk. Yeah.
Your age.
Right. So they get the actual risk rather than looking at people that are like you. They're looking at you.
So one of the issues that I see is that, a lot of people may have multiple car households. They might not be only on one brand.
Right.
So if I have multiple cars in my household, and let's say I have a Tesla and I have a Honda or whatever, some other brand. Now, what am I going to do? Get Tesla insurance only for the Tesla and then get a different insurance for my other car? Well, other insurance companies offer you multi-car discounts.
They do.
So now at that point, I'm paying more money for my car insurance on my other brand than I would have to. So then the savings
replace it with a Tesla.
on the Tesla insurance, it would negate it. So now I'd be like, nope, can't get Tesla insurance. I'm going to go with the other insurance company because they're going to insure both vehicles and give me a multi-car discount.
Well, that's one way to look at it. But the reason that they even are in insurance on their quarterly call, they mentioned that the reason they even came up with this is because a lot of the customers were being given ridiculous rates, multi-car or single car, on a Tesla because the insurer was afraid of having to repair a Tesla. And so, hey, you need insurance. What are you going to do? Oh, you still want us? Like when you don't want to do a job and you give somebody a ridiculous quote.
And you're right, and that is interesting because some insurance companies, they're just afraid of them. They don't want to touch them. But one of the biggest costs with insurance is in the event of an accident is the healthcare bills.
Right.
So like people getting injured costs way more than repairing a vehicle. So looking at the safety aspect of the Tesla vehicles, getting in crashes less often as they do, and that's statistically true. And then not only that, the likelihood of injury being a lot lower being in a Tesla.
Inside and outside.
You would think that the insurance rate should actually be lower. And some insurance companies are catching on to this. And I've seen where, you might have to shop around, but then you end up getting a better rate on your Tesla than on another vehicle.
Yeah, mine's pretty good.
What did you say earlier? You would think that's the issue.
Some of them are. Some of them are catching on, and some of them are doing that. But you would think that all of them should, but they're not. Yeah. They're not all there yet.
Right. Their tables aren't up to date because
they're not. They're just not there yet.
They listen to the Tesla shorts when they form their tables. Oh, this company's going to be out of business in 3 years. Oh, why?
9 years later.
It's going to be really hard. It's going to be really hard to get parts in 3 years.
You would think a Tesla would be less risky. I mean, it's less likely to get stolen.
Right.
Like I have 2-factor authentication set on mine, so if you don't know the PIN code, you're not driving it.
Exactly.
Have
your phone and the PIN code.
Right. They're safer. They're less likely to get in a crash, and if they do get in a crash, they're less likely to get injured. Yes, they cost more to repair in small, minor incidents. Yeah. It does cost a lot more to repair a Tesla in a fender bender than most other traditional vehicles. Right.
But Tesla has an advantage here, too. They are the manufacturer, so they don't have to worry about the Tesla markup on a fender and paint.
True.
They can just do it at cost to themselves. And
that's if they're the ones doing the repair. But the problem with that is,
but don't forget the insurance companies
doing the repair in most cases. And
but don't forget that the auto insurance is just like health insurance. They say how much they're going to pay, and that's all they pay.
Yeah, true.
So they can then strong arm a Tesla authorized dealership or a Tesla authorized repair shop to fix the fender for X price, and then they know that unless the people are doing it extra slow, they know that they've covered the labor rate, they know they've covered the parts and everything. Oh, thank you, Zach. I really appreciate it. Through the Tesla safety score system. Awesome. I'm going to add you to the video on the next video. Nice. Oh wait, I read that wrong. Because I have a tier called safety score. So I really appreciate it. Cheers for the beer. Show that on stream right there. Look at that. Thank you, Zach.
Thank you, Zach.
Okay. You're in this video already. Right on screen. Okay, so I think that this will be an interesting potential moat for Tesla because, like you said, if you can't get your multi-car discount because the Tesla is more expensive on your other insurer, and then your spouse's car is up for replacement, or you're getting you have a sedan and a pickup truck, or whatever the case is on your next car, your next car is more likely to be a Tesla if you already have Tesla insurance on the other car because they tried to screw you on the first car or on the first Tesla.
I think they're on to something here.
It's one possibility. Now, if you're on Super Bundle, where you got the house, the car, the apartment, all of that together, it's a little
solar. I think the key thing is going to be here for Tesla insurance. I think it's going to be work for multi-cars when you're going into electric, because I think the same issue that Tesla's having is going to happen with Rivian when you start trying to replace parts. Especially they're an outdoorsy company, so they're going to have dented fenders, broken headlights, little dented on the little so in all succession, Tesla insurance should work for all of the new EVs coming out for that purpose. I'm pretty sure in the long run they're going to encompass everything, which is going to be the key part about it. It may not have multi-car discount right now, but I think it will apply for electrics in the future, and it's going to be a great thing for your Mach-E's, your.
I think the Rivian mobile. Yeah, the Taycan's another one that will be interesting. They better have a track button on that one, or at least GPS you on a track, because
now everyone's ready for 0 to 60.
well, I mean, if my track driving affected my insurance, since they already don't insure you on the track anyway, I would be upset.
Mm-hmm.
But I forgot where I was going with that. Rivian Mobile Techs. I think that they might be empowered to do more to the vehicle than the Tesla techs, because they like you said, they're going to be off-roading. They're going to be running into trees and stuff.
Oh yeah, that's gonna happen.
And if you think Tesla's bad with direction just in city driving, imagine you're actively in the wilderness and unimproved roads and pathways and.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what Rivian's full self-drive in the woods feature is like, because that's what they've advertised, and
Not exactly called a full self-drive, but we know it is.
their version of full self-drive works in the woods. They say, or will work in the woods when it's ready. So I'm curious how they're going to handle that.
If it can
Yeah, just like
successfully
their tank
navigate an
turn was
injured
supposed to be at
passenger out
launch,
of
available
the
at
woods,
launch.
I'll
It's
be
not.
impressed.
Yeah, tank turn hasn't happened yet.
I don't believe it. I don't think Rivian. I think that's something that's like way long down the road for Rivian as far as that.
Yeah, but
goes.
people thought that today's full self-drive would be another 3 years from now.
Yeah, but Rivian's not Tesla.
This is true, but they do have a lot of Tesla former employees.
Okay. Remember,
So-
Rivian was supposed to come out like
5 years ago.
long before now.
Right.
So nothing that they're doing, I think, is going to be on time.
Hey,
That's just my take.
who do we know that's like that?
Right.
So the Tesla CFO says that there's a profound awakening about electric cars coming, and it comes as no surprise that Tesla has broken records again. Folks are falling in love with electric cars, and Tesla is the leader. I mean, they've got the first mover advantage. That's them coming from Evanex. So it's interesting. It's an interesting assertion. Sorry, EV Annex. I call them Evanex. That's how it's written. There's a link to the story. I mean, if you ask anybody about electric cars, if they know anything, most of them are talking about Tesla. If they know any modern electric cars.
Tesla in that order. They're going to go, well, yeah, it's expensive as a house, which is kind of not true, kind of true depending on if you want the Plaid or not now. And then it's going to go, well, they only get 50 miles, which is your first gen Leafs or something like that. And they don't know that there's a huge gap in between that, from anywhere between 100 to 250. And then you start getting ridiculously high numbers when you get higher. And those are still available at a regularly moderate price. So, yeah, it's yeah.
Yeah. All right. So then the next story is, try again, Omar.
Oh, what's that?
Yeah, I was hearing you before.
Okay.
Sorry, we had an internal chat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was talking to you.
Right.
All right. So next we've got. There are more electric cars than gas cars on the road in Oslo. So we were talking about this last week about how there's a tipping point when you've got a mandate coming up for these no more fossil cars, and Norway is already there. So as we can see now, there were more. Tesla's leading there, but they're not the only ones there. And
Norway's not playing.
Yeah, they're gonna meet their deadline next year. It's looking like it's gonna be the last fossil car sold there. And probably
Norway likes their continent. They like their country to be healthy.
Well, they sell everybody else their oil, so it's.
And that's the funny part. Like their main export is oil that they're selling to everybody else, but they're like doing their best to cut out all usage of it themselves.
Yeah.
Well, when you burn in the oil, especially from a ice combustion standpoint, when you're burning that oil and you're doing it at a rate of what we do, like anybody, we've seen the articles where they show the ozone from what we see pre-COVID to now, or when it was the lockdown, and you hit there and you go, that drastic space and change of clear air in major metropolitans. Yeah, I mean, if my export is oil, then that's what's going to make my country money. But I want my residents to be safe as possible because they can pay taxes now. I mean,
right.
So in other words, be a drug dealer. Don't get high in your own supply.
Right. And that's what we were talking about with Saudi Arabia at the beginning of the show. They say that by 2060 they're going to be carbon neutral. So
yeah,
I suggested that it probably because nobody's buying their oil, but
listen, this is the direction that the world's heading. So
your boats, for the most part, your construction equipment, and your planes are still oil based. So it needs to go to that direction. The most common sources that are readily available, you can definitely go electric sooner than later.
And if you're running off of electric and you're using renewable sources, then you have better control over the pricing of your fuel, because like you don't have, OPEC controlling oil prices by, just producing less or exporting less or whatever, putting less out there to try to control supply and demand and make the prices higher, and all these artificial external factors that jack up the prices, where you're seeing like right now, where normally in the US at this time of year, the gas prices are normally going down, where right now they're going up. So
Exactly.
you don't have that issue with electricity. The prices are pretty stable. They go up, periodically, but they're pretty stable.
Yeah, I like Eddie's summary on that.
Like OPEC is crazy, and it took me a while to figure out what OPEC was. For anybody, Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries. Yes, when you look at it and you read it, you're like,
pretty much oil cartel.
Yes, it pretty much is.
Cartel,
it's so crazy to see it. When I first heard that they swing the faucet on and off, and I was like, and then you have countries like, say, Russia, and then like the Saudis, they would try to compete with each other, and it's like, turn it on, turn it off, turn it on, turn it off, and it's like,
wow. Oh, you like this price? I'm gonna flood you out.
Right. So like COVID, the prices dropped all the way down. So 99 cents. You ain't seen that in a while. I don't think we'll see that again either. Yeah, but
we try not to call the new normal by its name. So Norway, kind of hypocritical but smart, as Eddie says.
Yes, before new normal and after new normal.
Exactly. So Tesla has admitted that they have several alpha prototype Cybertrucks. We've only seen the two, the one with the mirrors and then the photogenic one.
I think so. Seeing that video that leaked with the one that actually it had the mirrors on it, I think that is much closer to actual production than anything we've seen so far. And I like
it was just a case of this. Also like this one's got the handles, but they're so hard to see.
But I like the fact that other one, the one that we saw in that video, although you could tell they were really far away and trying to zoom in, but you could see just enough detail to see that it had the rear wheel turning, because that turning radius was I was like pretty impressed with that, and I'm like, you know what, if that makes it to production, that's going to be good. That's going to be nice.
I think it's going to do one of two things. When we finally get the finalized version for production, I think two things are going to happen. I think right now they're testing to see how well they can get the drag coefficient down, because as we know, Tesla likes to bring their drag coefficient, so they design it into everything. What I hope would be fun to do, like you cannot see the actual door handles here, is that the mirrors actually fold into that what we see here, flushed. So when it's parked, you see a fully flushed design like this is on the screen. Now, when it starts to drive, it pans out. You don't lose your drag coefficient because it's the same design with those rounded off corners. And I think that'd be a really great thing to see on your final product.
Well, the thing about it is when you're driving, that's when the side mirrors matter. It doesn't matter when you're parked. It matters when you're driving.
That's what I'm saying. If they can tuck in while you're parked, that's great.
It can tuck in when it's parked, that's fine. But what I'm saying is that doesn't matter. Exactly. If it tucks in or not doesn't matter when you're parked. What matters is when you're driving.
I'm saying they look cool.
Because that's when you have the wind.
It would look cool. But Elon has suggested that we can just take them off. If it's legal in your state,
he said that they're going to be designed to be able to be removed easily.
And that's another thing.
Hopefully tool free.
Which right now, it's by law you have to have the side mirrors, and they're trying to get that changed. But right now in the U.S., we're still behind. Like I think in Europe they've already said, yeah, you can have cameras if you want. But right now,
not tool free, because then somebody just steal your mirrors. Just
right now
with Cadillac emblems.
Right now, it's still mandatory. However, if you look at, they wouldn't be the first vehicle to make them easily removable. If you look at the Jeep, where you can take off the doors or whatever, guess what? The mirrors are attached to the doors and they come off with it. So,
and I still,
they wouldn't be the first vehicle to have that.
That's true. Go ahead.
So Anders is saying we still have a long way to go to get the fuel prices like in Sweden, and he's right, except for that one station in California at $8.50 a gallon for premium.
That's one way to have people not to buy gas in your own country.
Well,
they're the only station for 50 miles. So
here's the thing. When I did my cross country drive and I went over to California, One thing that I noticed is there's a lot of Teslas in California, a lot of EVs, period, in California. And it's not just because of manufacturers putting them out there and the incentives to buy them and all that, but it's also those high gas prices that they have in there compared to the rest of the country. So people have pretty good incentive to go EV when the gas is expensive.
Also, real quick on the mirror thing, I think it's I may be off on this assumption, but I think I'm liking what Tesla is pushing hard for the data to be released, so they can't say, "Oh, you didn't have a side mirrors why you got into this accident." So they can legitimately say, "Hey, side mirror or not, the data confirms that this car was going to swerve over, or the software is wrong and we're fixing it now." So
Supposed to have
I
a
think
video of
between
it.
that, yes, and they'll have a video of it that's black boxed, secure. So if Tesla's going that way to push the safety, like in the NTSB, to say, here, pull the information, and then they can put that information in front of, regulators and be like, you don't really need your side view mirrors because these cameras will record it and maintain the actual data.
Well, I mean, we already see it in Europe with Audi and Honda, where they have the camera mirrors instead of mirrors.
And it
So it's just a
definitely
matter
be great
of getting our regulators out of their slumber and getting them to realize that Tucker is long gone and they succeeded, and now it's time to get with the program.
I get that reference.
So Eddie says it's still so Mad Max, I can't really imagine them on the street. It may not look exactly like this.
Oh, it's going to
be
be
really
crazy when you see them.
It's gonna be really close.
It's
because
going to be pretty much that, and it's going to be
pretty much
crazy.
that.
When you see them, they're going to be crazy, and they're going to stick out like a sore thumb for a while until you start seeing them everywhere because they're so popular.
I mean, Tesla's been making Tesla's been making vehicles for over 10 years now, so they know a thing or two about how to pass a crash test. and then as we saw last week with the Model Y, they're not stopping at the crash test; they're continuing to make them safer for their own customers.
Yeah,
which
they know a thing or two because they've done a thing or two.
Exactly.
We are Tesla.
Okay, that's enough of that. I've been making it a habit of showing you guys crash tests and moose tests all over the place. So Inside EVs has shared with us the NHTSA crash test of the Volkswagen ID4. So as I'm calling the Camry of EVs, inoffensive, safe, slow, mostly comfortable. Let's take a look. Let's get to the action. It's 8 minutes long. Oh, okay. I guess this is the setup. They're making sure you know what's going on. Okay. Sandy had all kinds of stuff to say about this guy.
It's a crash test. We know what's going on. It's being pulled.
The action.
Sweet stuff.
Pre-test.
There you go.
This one doesn't have any sound. Usually they have sound on it.
The fact that the back wheel was still moving when it popped up.
I found that interesting too. That the rear popped up and it kept the back wheels kept moving.
It means they're really heavy. They got some momentum in them.
Yeah. And it came off like it
literally came off the ground. Yeah.
It jumped.
And that means it's still pushing forward even after initial impact.
Well, it's just inertia.
Yeah, and look at that.
Because it's dragged. It's not driving itself. It's being dragged.
Right.
So it just means it's got really heavy wheels and tires.
Yep.
Which also means it's going to be bad for, slalom and stuff, changing direction. But we already knew that because it's a slow accelerator.
Oh, man, those moose tests. I found that very interesting, too.
I love the moose test.
Watching those.
Yeah.
Like, the Mach-E did terrible in that. And I thought it would have did better than it did.
So let's see inside. All right, his head stays center of the airbag. He doesn't go off to the side or in between the bags. Passenger looked all right. Let's get another angle on the passenger. Like I said, it's safe. It's inoffensive.
In general,
it does the job.
Safe vehicles, so
yeah. There's the passenger side. Let's take a look. Passenger, center of the bag, no roll. Doesn't go in between the bags. Doesn't come off the bag.
Can we have a moment of silence for the infotainment screen?
It doesn't look like he hit the dash through the bag, which is also bad. Okay.
Was the hand on the infotainment screen like it was trying to hold it in place? Sorry.
You might have punched it.
Somewhere in the end, it looked like there was a hand there going, "No, my screen."
I mean, one of the dummies' hands might have punched it.
I think the
Right?
driver one, it slipped off the wheel and went into the screen.
Yeah, right. I saw that.
That's gonna hurt. Yeah, the bag pushed the hand into the screen.
It pushed the hand off of the wheel, so then the hand went over into the screen. But okay,
Yeah,
that still looks like a very survivable crash to me.
It is.
right.
It's funny because you would see
and look at the way
without an engine, you have so much room to dissipate those forces.
Yep.
Oh, here we go. The underview.
Crumple.
Oh, it folded under.
Oh,
that's origami right there.
Nice.
Nice. And see, there's not a single effect on the battery, like the orange in front of the battery, just exactly the way it was. Okay. Any buckling or anything in the back? No? Oh, a little bit of flex there. I guess I should point with the mouse. You guys can't see my finger. Okay.
This is crazy because one of the great things about this is the battery, the most salvageable part of this car, is there for you to take.
Well, it's not just the salvage potential. If anything happens to that battery, it's going to light up. So you want it safe.
Well, yeah, that too. I'm just saying that's the key part when they say, "Oh, you're gonna have to mine more stuff to make the batteries." No, we'll just take this.
I like the way that curtain and the passenger bag went together, like the same sort of origami we saw on the structure underneath, to make sure that they go in the right place, to make sure that the driver and passenger's heads stay away from the windows. Good job, VW. All right, so here's the aftermath. All right, so when his head went back, it didn't hit center. His knee touched the dashboard, so you're gonna want a knee bag, Volkswagen. That's why I love how knee bags today.
I've watched way too many episodes of with Adam Savage and Jamie Hyneman.
Does his foot look normal? I don't know if that's normal or not. If his foot looks normal, I guess it didn't touch. There's a little bit of paint underneath the brake pedal. Okay. There we go. All right, so at some point in the next few weeks, hopefully we'll have a moose test for you guys on the ID4.
That's a perfectly fine, everyday run-of-the-mill vehicle.
Hey, Robert.
And it's not gas. Hey, Robert.
It's not gas. It completes the mission. It's not for me, but I'm not going to stop anybody. Like I'm going to say, hey, you want an EV? As I said at the front of the show, when that guy was saying Tesla suck, I was like, so get something you like. Just make sure it has a plug on it.
Right. Don't trigger me.
I thought he was trying to trigger me. That's how I felt.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Especially when you look at his other messages at the beginning of the show. All right, so Tesla explains its Cybertruck's exoskeleton supply strategy. Now, I don't know if I was zoning out or if I missed it, but he said Maria said that happened during the call, and I didn't take it the way
I didn't catch that part.
Yeah, see, so it's not just me. Who is the supplier for the exoskeleton's shell? And I thought he deflected that question. Was how I heard it. We develop our own stainless steel. We continue to look at multiple sources. Okay, yeah. So that was a deflection. That's how I heard it, and so it went into the trash bin of the mind because he didn't answer the question.
Exactly.
It's worth an article though.
He's like, I'm not, just trust me. We'll make it in house, okay?
No, they're gonna get somebody else to make the metal like they do for the aluminum now. All right, so this Tesla Model S Plaid prototype takes aerodynamics to the next level. Model S Plaid with the aero package at the Nürburgring and on public roads with that active rear wing in action. I got struck last week for including the video, so I won't include the video this time. So here it is in street mode. Here it is in braking mode, as we saw in the video, for those of you that saw it live. I apologize for those of you who saw the replay. That's what happened to that section when it skipped from the Model S to whatever was after the Model S. I clipped it. Yeah. I like those wheels.
This reminds me, if anybody's...
See that
okay, so everybody should be old enough in our viewers. If you've seen the Super Pursuit mode from Knight Rider and it just stops and it goes...
Yeah.
I keep thinking of this when I see this, so I just think it's very neat. Can you imagine
Street mode.
that, I mean, when it comes to active spoilers, that spoiler is super active.
Yeah,
Like when you
it
see
moves
the
a lot.
video of it, it's like amazing. Like, look at that.
Yeah.
The-
So it goes.
for it to
This is
go
like in
up
stopping mode, and
right.
then like it goes completely level in acceleration mode.
It's yeah.
Like
And
even
just
in this
imagine
video
That's
of it,
breaking
even
mode
these
there,
frames,
but
yeah,
you get out of it and it's like two
there.
kids.
there you go. Now it goes level when you're accelerating.
Well, like we saw
And then
that
there's street mode
And then street mode, look, it's just all the way, like
down.
all the way down.
right. Somebody's like, you come on, I could beat your little family sedan. And you're like, really?
You see that wing pop up, you better watch out.
Right? wait, this
Right.
is not no regular Model S. No, it's not. Get him, Daddy.
Listen, even the regular Model S, most vehicles aren't touching that.
Don't touch it at all.
Right.
But just the amount of intimidation when that foil comes up, you're like, where did that come from?
This
Now
is when
you
he
have-
knew he messed up.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah. Record scratch.
Right? Like the old
This is
school
when
classic.
Jimmy knew he made a mistake. Then you get the rewind noise. Let's take it back to how this day started. 80s movies. 80s and 90s movies. All right, so will car dealerships be able to adapt to the electric age fast enough? Maybe.
Depends. I think they will switch over to a body shop / charging station area model. They should.
Maybe.
They'll be their best bet.
Well, you got the folks like Carvana and CarMax. They'll be fine. But as we saw with that Canadian dealer that doubled the price of a Model Y.
Yes. And if they can solve the markup issue, I think they can be survivable, but they need to get that out of their old school mindset. They really need to get out the old school mindset. If they could just sell the car and focus on customer service after that fact, and we've already discussed this with other car makers, then they can really take the edge off of that fear of car dealership. But they know when the manufacturer said this is our MSRP, and they can go in and get the MSRP, and they know that they can charge their car there when the place is closed, or they could come in there and if they have a little bumper hit, it's repairable with a reasonable amount. The
charging isn't that big of a deal for many of the dealerships because so many of them lock their gates and close at the end of the night.
That's what I'm saying. If they leave the gates open, I've talked to a Ford dealership. They just say they leave the gates open. Now to find it on the actual property, that's different. But
also when you think about where the dealerships are located, they're rarely right where you need them. They're typically in Main Street. They're not. There are some that are right off the highway, but they're usually on a frontage road. So then you got to drive in there to get to them.
Well, the one I've talked to is off the highway, so it's fairly easy.
Yes, there's one good one. So then we run into the problem of what we talked about with our friend Sergio the other day, where, like for instance, with the Ford Mustang Mach-E and the Ford Bronco, if you pick the wrong dealership to pick up your car from, you might not get the price that you agreed to Ford with when you ordered online. You might get extra equipment added, like some floor mats you didn't pay for or you didn't want to pay for, some undercoating, some extra stuff that you don't want, and also a $20,000 market adjustment fee. Whereas if you pick,
that's where and that's where like companies like Tesla have their advantage because it's direct manufacturer to customer. They're selling with their sales model, so there's no middleman to sit there and say, oh, there's super high demand and they're hard to get hold of and there's not as many out there. Let me jack up the price 20 grand and make my money off of this one that I can't make selling 40 of them because I can't get my hands on 40 of them. Right. So once you cut out that middleman.
Right. And they think they got a captive audience because they online ordered this car to spec and now it's coming here. Good luck trying to keep me there. I'm gone. I'll reorder the car and get it dropped somewhere else. I don't care.
Yeah, and I think that's what's going to be your adjustment. So
part of what Sergio was telling us about is that there are some dealerships that have accepted and understand the concept of the Saturn and Scion model, where the price is the price. Customers ordered it. All you got to do is get them to sign here, and take their money, get your cut, and have a nice day. Get the next one. there are a few dealerships that, like some of the Ford enthusiasts, are making a list as to what dealerships don't play the games, and you can get your car dropped there safely, drive it home, sign the paperwork, and have a nice day. So that's a win-win for the customer. That's win-win for Ford, and then you've got the old school mentality. So, do dealerships have a future? It depends. Can they handle the changing of the times? I was an internet sales manager at several dealerships, and sometimes you end up with a manager that understands that you've got a customer come in, they've already agreed to the price, you already talked to the same manager about the price, you talked to the finance manager, got everything situated. All they got to do is come in, sign, give them the keys, show them how to work the features, and let them roll on out. And then either that manager changes their mind, or somebody's taking their place on the desk that day, and they want to go change and shake things up. And now you've got a customer who drove 8 hours to come to your dealership to make your deal, walking out angry. Now they got to book themselves a flight because they were going to drive home, and you look like a jerk.
Well, the thing is this: when it comes to complete change in industry, you got two choices: you adapt and change with it, or you just go out of business and go away. Like Blockbuster. That's your choice. That's your options. So one or the other is gonna happen eventually. Either the dealerships that can adapt and change and change how they do things and adapt and go with it, they'll be fine. The ones that are just too old school and set in their ways and don't want to change and don't want to change how they do stuff, they're gonna go belly up.
They're going to lose their business.
Yep.
Whether they want to or not, they're going to lose it. I was reading a post from a car dealership who he was basically on the brink of some sort of depressive breakdown. He had more salespeople than cars on the ground, new and used, and you can only mark up the prices so much. He couldn't replace the stock once he sold the cars. You could read the desperation in the guy's post, and I was like, wow.
There's a car dealership right up the street from me, and
it looks closed.
I looked on their lot the other day.
Yeah.
They literally had 20 vehicles on their entire lot, and this is a
28
major
salespeople.
but this is a major dealership that normally has
100, 500 cars. Yeah,
a couple hundred. Like you're looking at hundreds of cars.
Yeah,
just like 20 of them. I was just like amazed at how empty this lot was, and I was just like, wait, I can count them?
Right.
Like you normally can't sit there as you're driving by and count how many cars are on the lot. I mean,
right.
that was, and I hadn't been paying attention to that because I don't pay attention to that brand. I don't really care too much, so I haven't been paying attention. I don't know how long this has been an issue.
Just noticed it was empty one day,
but it really caught my attention the other day as I drove by. I'm like, wow.
So Anders is explaining that place in Monterey is actually massively overcharging, because at least in Europe you get something for that money. You get your healthcare, you get your social good. That's going in somebody's pocket right there. If it's $8.59 a gallon in Monterey and it's only $8.44 in Stockholm. Well, they had a monopoly.
Well, how remote is this location? Like, how much are they getting charged to deliver?
That's another good question. Are they being overcharged themselves?
Because they could be themselves being overcharged for delivering to their location.
Yeah. So that's a fair point. They are the nearest stations to them are 30 miles one way and I think 25 miles the next, and so they're the only game in town. So Eddie says if legacy companies do their part, when he got his Scion in 2007. And it was totally no haggle. Yeah, I mean, we know that they know how to do it. The question is, will they keep it up? I mean, because these manufacturers aren't trying to put their dealerships out of business, because as long as they're required to have a dealership, they need a place for the cars to go. And so they built in a nice profit. If you sell it at sticker, you've made a profit. If you sell it below sticker, there's still profit in there. They've got stuff. But
in bulk sales.
But on the cars that do the no haggle thing, there's enough for your salesperson, your manager, your store, everybody to survive. And with the online orders, it's real easy. You just take the order in, you prepare the paperwork, wash the car, put the plates on it, roll it out the door when that person comes in for their signature.
Easy.
And you can make some money on the financing, especially if their credit is not the best. I'm not saying that being exploitive of people with bad credit is a good thing. I'm just saying that there are still places to make money And you could sell the undercoating and stuff. Just don't force them to
Right.
buy stuff that they didn't order.
You can still charge and say, hey, do you want the extended warranty? Do you want this?
Hey, we got LoJack. Do you want LoJack?
Yeah.
Or actually, just when I really understand it, they'd be like, hey, we know you want this vehicle. We got you financed in normal places to be 15%. We got you at half of that because we told them that we can give them another customer behind that. And you feel that when it feels as though they gave you a better deal, you feel more attached to come back for your next
if they beat what you already agreed to, then you come in with fuzzies and you're telling all your friends, go on down to Jimbo
and
Jones. Let's take care of you.
Sales. That leads to future sales. So you got to think long term, and it works itself out.
Yeah. Robert Williams says he saw effort on TV for EVs for rentals, insurance, charging, and everything. Good
nice.
Yeah. All right, so I talked to you guys a few weeks ago about that awesome delivery center we just, we were drooling on in China for the, the indoor delivery of 110 spaces. They got another one.
EV.
Another one?
Yeah.
Another one.
Because one wasn't enough.
Right. Drive Tesla Canada has reported
clearly the demand is there.
Yeah. So Drive Tesla Canada is reporting this one's in Shanghai in the Mingyang district of Shanghai. This center also had an awesome party. I think Elon just loved to have parties. Everything opens with a big party.
Especially when people like to have him around. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
This one, he didn't make that call.
So the party happened 2 days ago on Friday with dozens of guests in attendance. Look at that, a ribbon-cutting ceremony. I need to get closer to some Tesla facilities so I can join one of these parties. They weren't just there to celebrate, as the first deliveries began the same night.
Wait, let me double check my email. I didn't get that invite.
Right. Well, I mean, I don't got a Chinese visa, so.
Are we connected to the family?
I need to start getting invited to some of these parties.
Right. Look at these deliveries. I mean, oh my goodness. All right, you need to go to Bay 7. Terry will meet you there. Right? You're gonna sign up. Drive away. Oh, look at this! I got the tweet with the holes so you can take a picture.
That's great.
Yeah. So this is the previous one, 127,000 square foot delivery center in Beijing. So Beijing and Shanghai, 101 dedicated delivery spots in that building. So tell us the size of this building. It's in Shanghai. How big is it? How many cars? Well, it's big enough that they have a parking garage they can have a party in. So last month they delivered 52,000 cars across the country. So they need this in order to get their numbers. And like I said, hopefully their version of the DMV is there in an office at the end of the space, so you don't end up with these Teslas around the block situation every quarter. Not that that's terrible. It's just a better experience if you get your car and the paperwork's ready to go.
Wait. 52,000 cars in 1 month
in China. Yeah. 52,000, and don't forget they exported more than that.
And they
from
exported
China.
Another 4,000 cars.
Right.
Just imagine the efficiency of this. You have a whole nice party. You sign for your paperwork. By the time you leave, you might have insurance already, and your tags are already applied for. And you just take it home.
You should already have your insurance before you get there. But you might already have your tags on the car, everything.
Yeah, right. I mean, you can't have a better car experience than that. And if you cannot replicate that as a dealership here, then you shouldn't be in business, because you need to pay attention to how business is done globally. Especially
you should strive to get there. I mean, you don't quit. Just make it happen.
So I'm reading this headline.
Yeah.
And they're saying that, looking at the number of cars that they're going to do despite the chip shortage.
Right.
I think the biggest way that they're getting around the chip shortage is, unlike other automakers, they're buying the higher quality chips.
Yes.
Whereas
modern
other
ones.
Automakers want the cheaper,
older ones,
low quality chips.
Proven.
Because their infotainment systems aren't doing much.
Right.
Whereas Tesla, on the other hand, they're buying the more high quality chips. So manufacturers are much more prone to say, "Oh, you want the more expensive chips? Yeah, we're going to sell to you. We ain't worried about these other cats that want more of the cheaper chips. We're going to sell these more expensive chips to you." So I think that's an advantage that Tesla has.
Yeah. What do you mean, Eddie? They screwed you on the LoJack in 12. I got LoJack on my 09 basically for free, so I went ahead and did it because it was free, and it helped my insurance out. So not only was it free, it actually reduced my insurance.
Yeah, how did they screw you over, Eddie?
I'm wondering if they overcharged him, or if they forced him to get it and he didn't want it. I'd like to know the story there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So while Eddie tells us about that, let me tell you about some more people who are going to be unhappy about prices of things. Uh, this is a series, by the way, so don't think this tweet is all. Tesla's increased the price of the U.S. Model Y long range and the Model 3 Standard Range Plus by $2,000. No change to the performance variants. The Model Y long range starts at $56,990. The Model Y Standard Range starts at $43,990. I think this was, Friday night?
Now, this is one of the problems with being direct sales from manufacturer to customer, and that is the pricing is much more transparent. So when there are price increases, everyone sees it. Yeah, they're not hidden in the incentives on the back end where they're giving dealerships less incentives, or they're reducing the other incentives in the discounts that they're giving to the customers for purchasing the vehicles and all that other stuff.
The next month comes around and the hood money goes from $5,000 to $2,000.
Right. So other manufacturers have increased their prices as well.
They did.
They just hide it better because it's not on that MSRP sticker price. It's actually, there's less incentives. There's less this and that. It's all the other stuff on the back end is how they're getting to it.
Yeah, I like Tony's answer. He said, I forget, is raising prices high or lowering prices good? Tony says yes. Mark says basically. Go ahead, Omar. I'm sorry. That was just too funny for me.
So they're under a lot of pressure, just like all the other car companies are, with manufacturing price increases with the materials cost and everything else, and like we were just saying, the chip shortage and everything else. So they're raising their prices, and their demand is so high they can do that, and it doesn't affect how many cars they're selling.
Right. In fact, it makes the lines more manageable, because if you keep the price low enough, then the line just keeps, like right now they're sold out through the summer on most of their cars. So if you leave the price the way it is, they'll be sold out through the end of next year, like that. You raise the price, and then some of the people will wait, because they only want a Tesla, so they'll wait. Other people will jump to other brands, but as long as what they buy is electric, then the mission is successful. Yeah. Robert Williams saw the Toyota hydrogen car. Okay, that's cool. All right, so to continue this story that we were talking about, as I said, that's not the last one. Tesla has increased the price of the Model S and X long range by $5,000 each. Now there's only a $15,000 price difference between the X long range and X Plaid.
So now, if I was buying an X, I mean, I would really have to consider getting the Plaid instead of the long range, because it's only a $15,000 difference.
Right, and that's what Tesla wants you to do. They make more money on the Plaid, and so why not get the Plaid? It's only a small jump.
But what's really crazy is, how is the Plaid X less than the Plaid S?
Because you got to wait longer for it.
I mean, but so that tells me that price on the Plaid X is going to go up significantly once they start really shipping those out. So my point is, if you think you might want a Plaid X, go ahead and put that order in now.
Yeah. Like we keep saying, if you see what you want,
in now.
Yeah,
before that price goes up, because at least you lock in your price if you put it in now.
And if it goes down, just cancel your order, get a new one. It's only
$100. You can always cancel or change it or whatever. But if you wait, you're gonna be paying that higher price.
Yeah, Omar and myself and Mark and Patrick, combining shows here, and we tell you this all the time. If you see what you like, get it from now with Tesla, because we were just talking to some friends during a happy hour, and they didn't get their Cybertruck order in. And now the Cybertruck order no longer includes the guaranteed price for FSD, or the guaranteed price for your trim, or even the ability to pick how many motors you want, so which trim you get. So what we suspect is going to happen there is there's going to be an increase on all of that. So not being able to select it because they waited. So now their $100 doesn't guarantee them anything except a spot in line.
Yep.
When I bought my Model X, the long range, the 100D and the P100D, they weren't that far apart either, and so it was really easy to make that step up, especially when you consider our justification for it was that we were going to tow. And in gas cars, they always say, get the bigger engine than what you actually need, just one step up. So nobody would confirm or deny that for electric. And I said, hey, sweetie, performance? She said, whatever. And we did. Yeah, because we went one engine up from what we needed. Yeah.
And you made sure you had enough power to tow.
Exactly. See, this guy says the Plaid is, just like you said, the Plaid S is more than the Plaid X. The X, the X did used to cost more, but there've been times where the X was cheaper, depending on what day of the week it was, basically.
Well, prices fluctuate.
They do. They do.
There's a lot of factors that goes into those prices. So.
All right, so we're not done with these with this yet. Let's keep going. The Model Y long range has increased in price $7,000 in 2021 from the $50,000 January price, where it's now $57K. Estimated wait time for delivery then was 2 to 5 weeks for the base model, and now it's 10 months. You could have a whole baby to put this car in that amount of time.
And that line just keeps getting longer and longer.
Yes. Yeah, I think it will. As Gail said, I do think that it will get better as the.
It will get better when the Gigafactory in Germany and in Texas open up, because both of those are.
If you're in for a Model Y, yeah,
both of those are going to be pumping out Model Ys. And rumor has it, from what I heard, they've also got a Model 3 line in Texas, and they're going to be spitting out Model 3s as well out of there.
The Model 3 line in Texas has been. Not canceled, but they're not focusing on it as much anymore, which makes sense because Elon.
They don't have to focus on it as much, but it doesn't mean that it's not going to happen, which means they will spit out some out of there as well, which means that that's going to alleviate some of the wait times.
Right, but it might. I'm saying don't get our hopes up on the Model 3 line in Texas anytime soon, because it's not canceled. It's not canceled. They didn't say they're not putting Model 3s in Texas. They just removed it from the list of what to expect for the next year for the investors. So if that's what they're telling us as investors, as a customer, your Model 3 is probably going to come from Fremont or China. It's the way it's looking. Because they told us already the Model Y is going to be their best-selling car, and then we've seen country after country where the Model Y is suddenly the best delivered car in the country, the best delivered car in the country, over the Model 3, over the S, the X, and the 3. So it makes sense for them to focus on what they anticipate will be their hottest product. They have a whole factory dedicated to Model Y. They won't even look at Cybertruck right away. Then Cybertruck will come in, and then at that point we'll probably expect to see the 3 or the Semi land in Texas. We probably won't ever see a Model 3 on the roadmap for the foreseeable future out of Berlin, as long as they can keep making them out of China and shipping them across the countries. So. But that's just a matter of global preferences. We've seen, like I said earlier in the show, Ford only has one sedan left. Chevrolet has one sedan left. Almost everybody is getting rid of their sedan.
That sedan form factor is not the most popular form factor.
Yeah. And we're starting to probably see them come back a little bit with these gas prices, but the gas prices don't affect the electric cars. So people are going to get what they are more interested in, which is that height up off the ground, the more storage room. But that's one of the cool things about the Model S is it's a hatchback. It looks like a sedan, but it's a hatchback, and it's cavernous. The Model S sedan has more cargo space than the 6-seat Model X. The reason I said 6-seat is because the 6 seats don't fold. That was part of the reason we were waiting when we were looking to replace our Model S with the Model X. Is we wanted it to have more cargo space than the smaller car, and with the pretty 7 seats. You didn't have that, but with the folding 7 seats like we have, it's a truck. And now I'm replacing it with a real truck. All right, so to summarize all of that, Drive Tesla Canada has an article titled "Entire Tesla Lineup Gets Fresh Round of Price Increases in the U.S. and Canada." Oh yeah, so I didn't even mention those were just U.S. and Canadian prices increases. They probably decreased the price somewhere else in the world. That's just the way they do it. So anywhere from $2,000 to $8,000 depending on the vehicle and the configuration. Model 3 in Canada was the only vehicle to be spared a price change tonight. However, counterparts to the south were not so lucky. But don't forget that also has to do with local incentives, what's already in the pipeline, as well as because they've already got boats and trucks headed to everywhere they need to go. But then there's also the exchange rates. Sometimes the price increases can handle their adjustment for the exchange rate without them having to manually go back and say, hey, this country's got this. So the standard range plus is up by 2,000 and showing a clear reason for the price increase. Delivery wait times for the base configuration in white with aero wheels are now showing September of 22. You order a car today in October, you'll get it 11 months later.
By the way,
yeah,
some people wait.
This is another reason why they removed the configurator from the Cybertruck. Is because remember originally the single motor cheapest Cybertruck you could get, $39. Now the Model 3 SR Plus costs more than that Cybertruck. So we know that price is going up for the Cybertruck.
Yeah. Well, plus you had a lot of articles breathlessly touting, oh, the cheapest Tesla you can buy today, you can't even get built, and it's cheaper than the car, it's the truck, blah, blah, blah. Which was true, but it was just unnecessary drama. So that was probably another part, in addition to being able to take more profit off the table, was to just shut those reporters up. Yeah. Delivery wait times for Model Y have also increased in the U.S., going from July to August of 22. So in addition to just locking in your prices, being able to actually get your car when you want it. So, and if things don't get any better, what you can always do is just take the car and sell it to that Canadian dealer to double the price, collect your profit, and go home.
Right?
That's a callback to the beginning of the show. Okay, so Elon Musk is tweeting that if all goes well, Starship will be ready for its first orbital launch attempt next month, pending regulatory approval. And that was in response to South Padre Isle taking pictures of the tower being nearly completed. So these are courtesy of South Padre, and not really courtesy of. I'm just looking at their Twitter feed because I didn't ask them.
You can follow them here, and
right.
here.
And this is their logo.
Right.
How many?
These tickets, I would love to buy that one ticket because.
Wow, that's a good point. You're saying they might have flown and landed an orbital Starship before Gigafactory 4 or 5 produced their first Model Y. And this guy thanks German bureaucracy.
And for the people that may not know, Starship is going to be the one that takes you up, say, from Texas and land you in Shanghai within 30 minutes, right?
In 45 minutes or less.
45 minutes
Actually, I think it's anywhere in the world in 50 minutes or less. Yeah.
So, yes, I will buy my first ticket if it's under $15K just to have the experience. Well, that's great.
The target is like $400 to $600 a chair, so you'll be there.
The target price is going to be like right on par with plane ticket pricing.
Yeah, undiscounted standard fare.
Right. See, that's stupid crazy. Can you imagine as a travel advisor me like, yeah, I can get you there. And the hotel's going to be like the last second, we need to fill this rooms. Hey, who wants to take a last minute vacation? Book and just sling them across the world within an hour and you can be right there.
Yep. He saw BMW iX as well. That thing has got some weird styling. It looks like a beaver with them big old teeth. But it's electric, so I like that. Enter says that in Sweden, the Model X long range, no additions 5-seat, estimated delivery is end of 22. Wow. So over a year to get your car. Model Y long range, no addition 5 seats, estimated delivery December of next year.
December of this year or next year?
Yeah.
I bet you it's next year.
It probably is. Wow. Yeah, if you think you might need a car, just go ahead and give Tesla $100.
I mean, you can get it back.
It depends on the car. Yes, December 2021. That's not too bad. 2 months.
Oh, December this year. Okay.
So they're probably selling whatever extra ones are on the ship that either they stuffed in there extra or where somebody had a cancellation. Because they seem to find an extra. Hey, you got 3 more bays? Let's shove some cars in there. And they fill them up. That's pretty cool. All right, so we were talking about safety in EVs. This Model 3 saved the owner's life in collision with an SUV, confirming the 5-star safety rating. This is the aftermath. This is coming from Tessamanian and Ava Fox.
That car totally destroyed itself.
Yeah, it sacrificed itself.
For the safety of the driver, like
yeah, it's sacrificed
the funk and the bumper of flipped forward. Wow.
It sacrificed itself for the occupants, which is what it's supposed to do.
The wheel is missing spokes. That was a heavy hit.
That was a heck of a crash.
Yeah. I wonder if
they got head on. What? It was a head-on.
Look
Okay.
what it did to the car. Look what it did to the SUV.
Is that an Element? It looked like a Honda Element to me.
Look what it did to it.
Let's see if they say.
This is like
yep,
that.
Honda Element
It's like
SUV.
that Slugfest where you didn't
Good call.
Where you didn't expect the other one to make a hard hit, and it was just like.
Well, first of all, I mean, big fish usually eats little fish, right? So
Right.
you have an SUV running into a small sedan head on at high speed like that. Normally, you're talking about fatalities.
Right. But again, what we were talking about, human pilot strikes again, because the Element might have had cruise control. It might have, but drunk woman crashed her car into his car. And so his car probably saved her life as well, because we're talking something that is based on a 2003 Honda Civic. The fate of the Honda driver remains unknown, but her car was badly damaged. No life-threatening injuries. So,
the fact that there were no life-threatening injuries is amazing.
On both parties.
Right. That Tesla saved both cars. I mean, look at what happened to this door. The reason they stopped making the Element wasn't because it wasn't popular, but because they didn't want to update it for crash standards.
Like, you can't tell me
What? Look at the side beam of the door. Just came out like a broken elbow or something. Sorry,
yeah, that's crazy.
That's a what do they call that? Fracture that's all the way out of your arm.
yeah, I already apologize. Please don't bring it up again.
Sorry. That kind of goes crack. They're like, oh.
Okay. So
we get it. We get it, Dan. You're making some people queasy.
That crash safety for the Teslas is really literally saving people's lives.
Yeah.
For the other cars.
Right.
Both parties.
Right. And we'll point out that Tesla doesn't have a 5-star overall crash test rating. They have a 5-star in every subcategory test rating. To the point where now, as we saw last week, they're not just trying to ace the test. Now they've gone beyond the test, and they're reconfiguring airbags, doing more tests. Like we saw, they took what was the Silverado and smashed it into a Model Y at this angle. It's not even on the test. And then they updated the airbags and told NHTSA about what they did. And then they pushed the update that fixed the airbags even better than they were on the test.
Overachievers.
I would like somebody to overachieve for free my safety on my car.
Absolutely.
That's where you get the other car makers.
The cabin.
I mean,
the other car makers look like I'm like teacher's pet.
Here's the thing: it's not about just showing off. It's about saving people. Like,
yeah, sure.
Literally, like I said earlier, like the injuries is the most costly thing in car crashes.
Yeah.
The human casualty.
Yeah.
So, vehicles can be replaced. These things are material things that they can make more of them, and they will keep making more of them.
Yeah, he's right.
Human lives.
The 4-cylinder right there is in the firewall.
Oh wow!
He said it was inside the car.
It drops down,
but they're not really designed to drop down. It's just that stuff is breaking in there. Because if the engine drops down, then you've got a hot piece of steel or iron sliding across the freeway.
Well, it can't. Yeah.
So they tend to just get shoved there.
Yeah, it's into the firewall. Oh.
So Vincent, he sometimes shares some cool stuff with us. The first refresh Model X delivery. It doesn't look any different from the rear.
Nope.
The front and the insides are where it's all at on this car.
Yeah, it's got that yoke.
You got the yoke, got the new interior. All right, so not just Vincent though. Friends at Tesla. At Tesla. They also shared some deliveries of the new Model X. So you can see from the front, it's got the new. I don't really like this part, but it works, and it's got that part. It fits in with the family. And the family. Wait, are they all white? Everybody got the free paint.
Oh, you mean the cars? All right.
Yeah, the cars.
Okay.
Yeah, see this kid's playing with the yoke?
Yep.
See, my key didn't come in a nice fancy box like that.
You didn't switch over yet.
I also didn't get my string. They owe me a string to hold my key. I gotta find my due bill and get it to them.
Your screen also doesn't look like that.
My screen doesn't look at that. No, it's got a nice cool screen. Hopefully they have the motors in them this time around, so you can rotate the screen when the software comes out. So this one's got is that a white or cream interior? This one's got black. That one's a white interior, isn't it? Or is that the building behind it? That's the paper. So that's a black
Can't
interior.
tell.
And that's a white interior. So it's not like the Model S was at launch, where only black interior, only the big wheels, and only blue or black or red. Okay, so that one has the 20s. That one has the 20s. I didn't see any 22s. What about in Vincent's video? And Vincent's video, you don't even see the wheels, you just see the back of the car as it turns. And then you see the old Model X coming out in the background. You can see the chrome on it and the white wheels, or silver wheels, not white, silver. Okay. All right, so we talked about the strict rules for the FSD beta, about the email and strikeouts. We talked about how there were more electric cars in Oslo. And then, for our friends with 2017 Model S's that they've S's and X's, they've upgraded the MCU to MCU2 and their cameras. Elon has some good and bad news for you. First, they were talking about the Raptor, because why not? It was a space post, and then somebody hijacked it, as they are wont to do, which is fine, because they got an answer. So John is asking, what happens to the 2016 and 2017 Model S's, 2016 and 2017 Teslas with FSD? Will they get the beta? Members are working on their high safety scores, because we know folks with 99s and 100s that aren't getting anything from the company. Elon says, yeah, although early production cars will need camera upgrades as well as the FSD computer, all included in the price. And Tesla did tell us this repeatedly. Yeah, you buy this today, we'll upgrade you until we get you what you actually bought. And they proved it. Like, I got my FSD computer in December of 19, and I've got the beta. These older cars, they have cameras that can only see red and black and white. The new cameras can see red, green, and black and white. And then, of course, the rear cameras on all Teslas are in full color. So, because their cars can't see green, they are going to need an upgrade. Because I guess what it looks like is Tesla was hoping they could just get around it like they did with regular autopilot, navigate in autopilot, and the stoplight and stop sign control beta. But apparently, they could not do it. So a couple of my friends, what they did was they put in a service request in the mobile app, and one person got put on the wait list for when they figure out how this is going to work, and everybody else got their appointments canceled. And this is just one of the things that annoys me about service with this company, is this guy can say something, and they just completely ignore him. This is the boss of your boss. Don't get snarky with me as the customer. Don't get snarky with me as the customer, especially when I include a quote of your boss right here. Like, if I give you the screenshot, you should say, oh, let me look into this, not just cancel the appointment. Because it comes off as arrogant and rude to just say, oh, we got your money, go pound sand.
This is where we need to have the hiring of people in Tesla to be different than the people they should be hiring, because they're hiring from their
competitors.
They're hiring, yes, the dealerships, and you get that same attitude. Mm-hmm. You've become the very thing you swore to destroy.
Right. So I mean, you get some overachievers, and I love them because they do everything they can. So what should have happened is, instead of just canceling the appointments, they should say, we don't know how it works. We'll find out. Because Elon's right. Yes. They did promise you that the car will do this, and so they would owe you anywhere from $6,000 to $10,000 if they decide your car wasn't going to do that. Plus, probably some more, because you were hanging on to this car when you could have replaced it while it was cheaper with a new one, because they told you it was going to self-drive and that was the only feature you wanted. Mm-hmm. So they're going to do right by you, but just so insanely frustrating when they just contradict the boss like that.
It's going to take a CLLS for it to happen, though.
So we've seen right now that the mirrors on the B pillar, I had one of those replaced on mine. It took 5 minutes, and only because the guy had never done one before. He would have been able to do it in 2 minutes had he done it before. The side marker, the side repeater cameras, they can be done really quickly. I've had the rear camera replaced on my car too, and that was not too bad. The ones that concern me are the tri cameras in the front window. You'll definitely have to recalibrate after that one. I didn't have to recalibrate after my side camera. Somebody else did, and I didn't have to recalibrate after the rear camera. But I don't think it really does much. I think it's a backup to the other cameras that can see out the back for the car. And so what's going to happen here is once they figure out how to put it in the system, they're supposed to probably reach out to you. We did have some people with the FSD computer update get the reach out. Other people just had their car in for other stuff. Like I had my car in for some other unrelated work. And they're like, hey, we changed the computer out while you were in there. Okay, great. That's saved me a trip. And then some folks, they had to go in and they had to request their upgrade. And they would either do it mobile or they would do it in the shop, depending on who your local service center is. They either couldn't spare the mobile techs or they didn't want to give the equipment to the mobile techs, so they made you do it in the store. But then some folks like Charleston doesn't have a shop because it's illegal to service cars in South Carolina, so the mobile tech did it all for everybody there. That was pretty cool, assembly line style. So so if you've got a 2016 or 2017 and you've got a high safety score, don't despair. I understand the frustration. As my friend Eric was saying this morning, at today's update was not up to par, but then he and I both got a new update. Let me see if my car is done yet.
As we go to the live feed.
Yeah, my car's updated, so I'll find out what's involved after this, after I eat lunch. He has a good point. Can I get a retrofit for the outside speakers? Because I want that feature on the app where you can yell through the speakers.
Very Night Rider like.
I didn't want the noisemaker. I didn't care about my car farting or goat clapping or coconuts or whatever. But I do want the ability to yell through the speakers at people standing around my car or numpties on the road.
Can you imagine doing it?
Well, I like my custom horn. Okay.
Yes, or the custom horn. Well, like I said, it wasn't enough for me to want to pay the money to get it done, but being able to yell through it is something I want.
Oh, can you imagine you could do it off your phone and the phone's like in the garage or somewhere or in someone else's parking lot. You go, hey, you like it?
That's the
back
point.
sound?
Yeah, that's the point. So the camera upgrade is only
app. That'd be awesome. Like, hey, get away from my car. Yeah, you. I see you.
Right. That part.
Go follow me. Go follow me, and you'll see everything you need to know. That'd be so great.
Okay. So that is the good news. Bad news. The good news is it's free and it's coming. The bad news is it's slowing you down, and if your service center doesn't have a good bedside manner, they might frustrate you. So if you found yourself angry at your service center in the past before, you probably want to hold off and not get your blood pressure up. Just wait a couple weeks before you put in for that, hey, is it ready yet, post. Man, I know if I got that email that some of these people got as a response, blah, 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 canceled. Ooh, I might need to be restrained from going up there and telling them about themselves to their face. All right, so electric scooter maker Silence unveils a cheap two-seater electric car with removable batteries.
Okay, can we just point out the name of the car itself? Silence.
That's the name of the company.
Yeah. Right.
So they make their current EV scooters. You can take the batteries out, put them in the bin, swap them out with new ones. So now they've got a micro car that does the same thing. It looks to me like the Renault and
it's like a smart car.
Yeah. Smaller though.
It is smaller though.
Yeah, the Renault Twizy and there's another one where the doors open different directions because it's just that inexpensive.
Oh yeah.
The name escapes me at the moment.
Where they made the same. Yeah,
the headlights and taillights are the same, just which lenses they put in there.
Right. And the doors are literally the same exact.
Same door. Yeah, one's a suicide door and the other is a regular door.
So it has to open one. They open
different.
No, I'm trying to remember the name. It escapes me right now. Most of the ones we see are blue.
I know what car you're talking about too.
Yeah.
Oh man, I can't remember the name.
Yeah. So let's see, 60 miles per hour. That's a fast scooter, man. Wow. That's
like that one going down the highway.
Right. That I saw that kick scooter.
Oh yeah.
Kick scooter. The small S04 cars use offset seating, so it's going to be like a McLaren. It's only 7 feet long, or 2.33 meters.
The Solo. This reminds me of the Solo.
Yeah.
Yes.
Top speed of 28 miles per hour, so it's in that same class as that blue car that Omar and I are thinking about. And there's the battery right there. You just replace it's probably running on the same batteries as the scooter.
That's crazy. That reminds me of the little adventure space on the Rivian. She's like, slide battery out, clip, slide new battery in.
Look at that. So it's got its own wheels.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, a little cart. I like it. The question then is, if she has to use wheels to carry it, does that mean that maybe a robot will lift it into the charging bank? Because if it's that heavy that for safety requirements, you need that. I don't think that lifting it to the 5th spot up on the shelf is going to be good for human factors.
Or just be they need it, because
I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's just there for convenience. Not necessarily that they need it, but just make it easier to carry, because it
could be. But think.
I mean, batteries are heavy. That's gotta be.
They are heavy. But if you do the reverse of the Coke vending machine robot with the slider, and you just set it down on the pad, and it lifts it up, slides it over, and jacks it in.
That'd be impressive.
Yeah. Only $8,000. Look at that. Good first car for the one I'm thinking of is French, because the French can drive it at 14 years old. The blue one. This is probably the same thing. 20 euros per month. That's pretty good. Yeah, that's right. It's quadricycle, what they call them. There it is. Citroen Ami is the one I'm thinking of. Citroen Ami and the Renault Twizy. So the
Citroen, yeah.
There's the Citroen Ami. This is what Omar and I have been thinking of this whole segment.
It's just like, ooh, we got to turn around. No, we don't.
You do, because the chairs face one direction. The light's on the wrong side.
You do have to turn around, but
it'll turn around on the sidewalk.
But it's like a square. You're driving like a square.
Yeah, it'll do a U-turn on the sidewalk. All right.
That's neat.
Yeah. So let me see. I had a note this blue oval thing. Now that I talked about the blue oval coming out. Scooters. Okay, so the note was the Tennessee Valley Authority is finally getting Solar Act together, and it's all about jobs. And that was by @Michael Tull. And then here is the article from Clean Technica. And the reason I wanted that note was because when I skimmed through here, it didn't actually mention it in the article in the same fashion. So Blue Oval City is what Ford is doing for their electric vehicle rollout, similar to Tesla and Volkswagen and Chevrolet, GM. So they call theirs Blue Oval City. They're building out an infrastructure to build their EVs. And now they're highlighting that they're going to have lots of solar available for it in Tennessee.
Nice.
Of all places. So this is by Tina Casey. That's probably how I got the article, because I get a lot of her articles.
Yeah, Casey, you do.
I do. Yeah. So she tends to write long form. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to paste this into the chat, and you all can peruse it. Yeah, Robert Williams knew what I was talking about. He says Citroen. The psychological damage of a lot of people after a big crash need counseling. That's true. That's a good point. A lot of
a lot of people
it's rarely looked at.
Yeah, definitely.
PTSD situation for sure. So renewable energy, green cars, electrifying all the things. Thank you for Ford on that.
I think Ford's learned from Tesla really fast. I like the name Blue Oval City because it hints back to their actual emblem.
I wouldn't go so far as to say they learned fast, but
they're learning.
They're learning.
They're making the right moves.
They are.
They're learning fast. It's if they produce fast enough.
We'll see. All right, so Elon has just formed himself a reply chain, because 10.2 is what I was running last night, and beta 10.3 is releasing Friday next week to all cars with 99 out of 100 score. Then he came back and said, there's regression in some left turns at traffic lights found by internal QA in 10.3. Fixes in the work, probably releasing tomorrow. It actually did. Amazingly, he read a calendar correctly for once.
Somebody handed it to him. Read from this.
But then, as we saw this morning, when I got yet another update immediately, there was probably something else found in there, and so we'll see what's on my car now. My friend
And
was
they
worried.
quietly fixed whatever the other thing was.
Yes, and that's the ingenious part about this.
Maybe, but what my friend was worried about is that since he was not in the beta before, he was worried that they would have taken the beta from him. I don't think that was the case. But basically, so if you had a 99 safety score as of Friday night, and you kept it through this morning, you should have received this download, assuming that you didn't have one of those 2016, 2017 cars. If you didn't have everything else but the cameras right, then you wouldn't even be able to get the safety score, so you wouldn't have had a chance to get the 99. Yeah,
that's a true tweet from K10. I don't think people give enough credit to the teams that make this possible. Even though he puts them in a bind sometimes. When they come through, they come through.
He's like, I think you could work 10% harder.
And you're like, oh.
We already are.
And then somebody
And
goes,
then Elon puts out these tweets putting all this pressure on getting it done on time. It's like, what are you doing?
Right, exactly. Well, I mean, he's told us this before. If he didn't give them the same timeline he gives us, then they would think they could slack off. And so that means that sometimes they'll publicly miss a deadline. But what I'm talking about is when he says tonight, and it really is tomorrow night, or tomorrow morning, rather. I wish he would read a clock and a calendar the same way that normal people do. And remember, 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
This reminds me, if anybody's seen Star Trek Lower Decks, there's a episode called Buffer Time, and they basically add more time so they have time to
like an engineer. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, the Star Trek engineers,
That's exactly
if they're smart,
what it
they
reminds
give a
me
different time than
Yes.
It's gonna take me 30 hours, and he gets it done in 25.
Right.
Ford's finally coming around to an EV reality, not those ugly complaints, according to Eddie. I believe, that's a fair assessment. They're starting to get it. Let's see if they survive it and if they thrive on it. So let's see. This is Inside EVs, I believe. Maybe Testerati. I think Inside EVs. Yep, Inside EVs. UK parents, 40% of them want their children to learn to drive in an EV. But more than a quarter think electric cars are hard to learn in and own.
Harder to learn in?
I mean, how low do they think of their children? They have a cell phone and a laptop, right? You just plug it in every night.
I don't think it's a low.
No, but a quarter of people think that electric cars are harder to learn to drive in. Like, I don't understand.
You've got two pedals.
To drive.
Yeah.
I mean,
in fact, you only need one. You just let go of the skinny one, and it starts to slow down.
Right.
I think
the big one holds it still. Right. I think the problem is that the parents don't understand.
Well, you know what?
Yeah.
I know what it is.
Go ahead.
They think that if they learn to drive in the EV, then they won't be able to drive those gas cars that their parents have. So
but we've seen their parents forget to turn the car off when they get out of their Tesla. When they're not with their out of the Tesla. When they go from the Tesla to the loaner car and it's gas, and they just leave the gas car running in gear all day.
Right. So because the EV is so much easier, then if you start off learning from the easier thing, then if you have to drive the one that's harder, then it's more difficult for you. And that may be their fear. Like, maybe if you start off driving an automatic car, and then you try to drive a manual stick shift car, you're going to struggle a little bit with that stick shift vehicle, right? Because that's not what you were used to. It's not what you originally learned on. Whereas if you originally learned on the stick shift, going to the automatic is easier.
Way.
So that may be, especially on hills. So that may be, that may be the concern.
Maybe. But at the same time, though, you've got the same issue with the folks who were so worried about learning on an automatic versus a standard, and now you can barely buy a standard anywhere. By the time these kids are ready to buy their first new cars, there probably won't be any gas cars left to buy. I mean, they'll have one or two models. And they'll be
What did Jay Leno say? The electric cars will end up making ICE as a novice as standard is to automatic now.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, that's
I
gonna
think
happen.
that'll happen.
Yep.
I think part of changing this is to educate the parents. And while we have a good group of people out to educate the college age, the middle school, the elementary age,
Mhm.
my daughter can outbeat me on an iPad any day, and she's in second grade for her school.
Right.
But to be able to show her if something happens to this, you run out of juice or battery, you can hop into an auto that's manual in case you run into that, or you can hop into an auto that's an automatic or a ICE that's automatic. That's up to the parents. I think this will be a change number in a couple of years, but my daughter, we've already stressed in my family. My daughter's starting to leave. She's going to the boat when they stop going up and they stop being lit, and
By the
literally,
time she can
and
drive,
then
by
it's
the time
going
she
to
can drive, the recall will be done.
yeah, right. So
So my biggest
it's a
fear
step of that.
is with these kids that grow up with EVs is that if they go out and buy an old classic car to tune on, is that will they have been taught not to run the car in a closed garage? Because that's not a problem with an EV.
I think they
You're
will.
right, and that's a big
It's up to the
safety
education.
thing there
Yeah.
because
That's up to education.
Right, but it's not something that parents necessarily would be thinking to teach the kid because all they showed them is electric. My big thing is I don't think that my child will even know how to drive based on what I'm seeing with this FSD.
My kids will know how to drive almost anything. I just need them to be that self reliant because if FSD falls and they're like, "What do I do?" It's like
Well, they can't do
lean back
anything
on
if
your
there's no
training.
steering wheel.
Make your own clip.
So, as I said last night, this morning, the FSD beta 10.3 started coming out, and uh, then some of the 99 owners started getting it, and
John
then
T.
yep, he got an email, same email I got, except that his version
Only
number was
beep.
different than mine. Uh, all right, so here's the release notes for the one that I just upgraded off of that I haven't seen yet, never will. Uh, added FSD profiles that allow drivers to control behaviors like rolling stops, exiting passing lanes, speed-based lane changes, following distance, and yellow light headway. So I think I'm going to want that middle one, but I don't want my car to roll through stops. I mean, because you need to touch zero and then keep going, right, Omar?
yes,
So,
technically to be in compliance with the law, yes, you need to actually hit zero
right.
before you proceeding.
Exactly.
California
So
rolling
what I
stop.
found is that my car only hits zero when there's another car in the intersection. Otherwise, it goes to 3 or 4 and then it bounces. Um, so there's a switch now. If you set it to chill mode for FSD, it will do a proper stop. But then the rest of the driving behaviors sound like they will annoy the tar out of me. So what I might end up doing is if there's anybody around me, especially if it looks like a cop car, I will just manually come out of FSD with the brakes.
Just remember, you are in the driver's seat. You are still the driver. You are still responsible for what your car does. So
Right.
therefore, you still have that brake pedal that you can hit at any time to just completely take over.
Yep.
You regain your score level.
And so I mean, from 3 miles an hour, you're not going to hurt your score with a brake pedal,
No, you're not.
unless you slam it, like to the floor. But if you're just trying to stop the car, it'll be fine.
Yeah, you'll be
Um,
fine.
the I've requested several places on Twitter where Elon is lurking on this rollout. I requested a separate toggle for the rolling stops because I want my car to be a bit of a jerk, like it has been. Because if it's not, it's going to get run over. Like people are going to just push it away because of where I live in a large metro. I don't want it in chill mode, but I also don't want a ticket. So
Now, wait, is this new release going to allow you to control all these things independently, though?
the one that just came out, maybe, but the one that I just left, no. You had a slider for chill mode, standard, and advanced,
Right.
or something to that aggressive.
But
Um, aggressive will tailgate people, not necessarily tailgate, but it'll get up on them. It'll change lanes all the time, which I like that idea of changing lanes all the time, but I don't want to follow closely because, like I said, these people they just be slamming on brakes left and right because they are following too closely, and people don't maintain their vehicles correctly, stuff falls off of them, that sort of thing. So I would like probably the medium with the advanced lane changes with the ability to, like, if they let us just customize what we want, that's how I pick. I'd pick aggressive lane changes, I'd pick medium following distance, and I'd pick stop correctly at stop signs. Personally. Yeah. So they added a planning capability to drive along oncoming lanes to maneuver around the path. I didn't see a toggle for that, so I'm guessing that either it's just something it does or it was built into which of the 3 selections you picked. They improved the creeping speed by linking the speed to visibility network estimation distance to encroachment point of crossing lanes, which would be nice because sometimes mine would sit there and creep long enough that people are beeping at me or going around me, or I miss the spot, so then I just end up jamming the pedal and rolling. Or coming out of FSD and doing it myself. Improved crossing object velocity estimation by 20% and yaw estimation by 25%. Up-revving surround video vehicle network with more data. Also increased system frame rate by 1.7 frames per second. So this one I ran into yesterday. We were in Delaware, and there was a cross street. Our street was 45, and the cross street was 60. And I didn't read the message, but I saw it out the corner of my eye. It's like basically high-speed crossing, and I didn't know whether it was going to do it or if it wanted me to do it. So I just pushed the accelerator when it was clear, and it jumped out in the street, and then it ludicrously launched us up to speed once we were across both sides of the highway crossing. Put your head on the headrest.
To me, that's a crazy road design and a crazy engineering decision to
Yes.
have such a high speed cross street.
Yes.
We don't do that around here where I'm at, so
right. Well, the first state is a little small, so they might not have room to do a proper intersection.
Yeah.
Improved vehicle semantic detections like brake lights and turn indicators hazards by adding 25,000 video clips to the training data set. So this was a training situation on the neural nets. I would like to see them add the blinkers and hazards to the mind of car view, so that I know that the car knows that person's trying to jump in my lane, rather than right now you get brake lights only. And on the production builds you don't get any of that, so you just got to hope your car knows that car's slowing down. Improved static obstacle control by up-revving generalized static object network with 6L. More video clips. L and K are next to each other on a normal keyboard, so maybe 6,000 more video clips. 5.6% pre-vision and 2.5% recall. So I guess pre-vision would be the car predicting it, and recall would be in the training at the dojo or whatever it's actually.
I think the recall is it knowing previous frames, what happened previously.
Oh, remembering. Yeah, like when the truck crosses the traffic light didn't disappear, like a baby playing peekaboo. Where'd I go? I got your nose.
Right. Because remember, prior to that, it didn't have any recall at all. So
yeah, none. From frame to frame, it was just recalculating all that stuff every frame.
Right.
Allowed more acceleration when merging from on-ramps onto major roads. That's good, because sometimes it felt like I was going to get run over. And when lane changing from slow to fast lanes, yes, it got so much more timid. It's like your P100D, you used to be able to do this. You turn the signal on, it would rev up and go until they had the minimum following distance of the car in front of you. And then they would change lanes if there was still room. Otherwise, it would just sit there off the bumper until there was room, and they would jump out and launch. And then with the last couple versions, and then this last version of FSD, they would, if they saw the room, they would move over and launch. But I want to launch as I'm going into the lane. Reduce false slowdowns and improved offsetting for pedestrians by improving the model of interaction between pedestrians in the static world. Improved turning profile for unprotected turns by allowing ego to cross over lane lines more naturally when safe to do so. So you guys might have seen on a couple of my videos where I start out on that unprotected left from 0 to 45, and there's a big concrete median in the middle, and very rarely does it actually go out there smoothly. It usually comes out and like jiggles, and you're wondering if it's under control or if it's going to hit the curb or what. So I'm excited to see if this fixes that. Because I would much rather go over into the other lane when it's empty than wiggle worry about hitting the concrete. Let's see. Improve speed profile for boosting on high-speed roads by enforcing stricter longitudinal and lateral acceleration limits required to beat the crossing objects. So, if this means it pulls harder, I'm good. If it means that it's going to be less jarring, I don't really need that. I want it to be safe. It sounds like it's going to pull harder if there's something coming out there instead of getting real close. Because right now, I've seen times where it's going to just kind of work its way out there, and you build a model of how fast it can accelerate in your head, and you're like, nah, you're going to get hit. I'm gonna push the brake. or it's gonna. You're like, yeah, you're gonna get hit. I'm gonna launch. And you just push down on that lightning pedal to help it along. Yeah, so there we go. And then
So it's improving.
It's improving. Tech AU had screenshots of each of those items. I'm gonna skip them because we just did that. Green the Only was digging into all of this, and he says, interesting that 2021.36.5.2, aka beta 10.3, is widely pushing normal production release. 1,000 pending installs as of now, and this is a stark contrast to all the previous ones. On an unrelated note, 2021.36.5 releases broke Spotify player, wrong station and wrong display. And then the version that my car just downloaded is 2021.36.5.1. So it's actually gone down 0.1 from what it was running last night. Curious what that's all about.
Wait, what?
They're pushing them out so fast
So
that
yours
they're
is-
misnumbered.
Yours is
Mine
one.
I was running that.
Two? You
Right,
was running two before, and now you're running.
I was running 2 at the beginning of the show, and now I'm running 1.
Oh, so they rolled it back?
Who knows? We'll see when I get out on the road. And so this guy, Jeff, was asking about people getting locked out of FSD and cruise control after enabling new chill FSD. So that's what I was talking about, where you park your car, turn off Sentry, let it sit for anywhere from 5 to 30 minutes, and come back. That was working for most of the people who had this. Or also if your car just happens to have that problem on production builds when it has a Sentry mode issue. Where no installs are coming from any updates other than 10.2 or beta button update. Okay. Of course, it's only for people to release. Yeah, that makes sense because it's a beta build. Green's like, what's your point?
Duh. It's beta.
Yeah. So now it's essentially a production release with the safety scores condition for who can get it. Okay. He says yes, basically. This is in the functionality behind a feature flag. So it's like 2021.36.5 that has the button, but only people that meet the criteria see the button. Okay. What if that means we're getting closer to all future production versions being all vision? That's a very good thought. Once production also has FSD visualization, they'll be mostly synced up, I think. So this guy's describing his problem and what he thinks solved it. Then, while Green was in there, he found this. I hope the light bar on those police vehicles will be animated at least once it's finally released. So what we see is the regular van SUV graphic and a light bar on top.
That would so help fix the FSD running into the emergency vehicles.
Well,
we already saw on a couple updates ago where it had a message for slowing down for emergency vehicles at night. And then prior to that, we also saw it, at least on my car, where it would pull over to the edge of the paint when I was near a car with flashing lights. So
recognizing the light bar is good, but it really needs to just recognize the flashing lights of the lights.
Right.
Because there's a lot of police vehicles
Stealth.
that don't have that light bar on top.
Exactly.
And there's the unmarked police vehicles, there's the stealth, whatever. Yeah. There's a bunch of different ones.
What would be really cool is if it does that animation for the stealth cars. Police reported ahead.
What do you mean? Oh.
I mean, the only thing illegal in some places is the radar detector. They can't stop you from recognizing, hey, that's a police car.
Well, this is critical. I think also, as I've mentioned 2 years ago, being in a seizure. So if you have the technology to where you're, say you're, what's the word? if you have your shirt, micro nanotech, if you have the nanotech or your watch or something that's connected to your bodily function and it lets the Tesla know and it goes, oh, there's an emergency vehicle. Let's pull over and notify it. It's that quick responding faster than normal that I am looking forward to. That's a different outset of maybe about not hitting an emergency vehicle, but letting the emergency vehicle know, hey, there's something wrong with my passenger. Can you come help? And that'd be a really, really cool feature on the opposite end of that spectrum to have.
They could just tap into your smartwatch and read that.
Yeah, Bluetooth it connected all the way in.
Well, you don't want Bluetooth. They just ask the phone.
I mean, they could just tell the phone to just like call the emergency vehicle for you.
Right. We've seen that on some of the iPhones and other guys where it's like, hey, it looks like you're having a heart problem. You should see a doctor now.
Yeah. And I think that'll be a great.
And then they can take that one step further and have your phone actually call.
Right. Hey, this is what we see. It might not be a problem, but if he's not talking, then you might want to call somebody else to go get him. So your friend you, my friend, might have just stumbled upon the real truth about disabling radar. Well, I'm wondering, is there anything stopping the radar receiver from receiving the radar signal? Right now, I think there might not be. It just filters it out because it didn't send it. For visibility purposes, it might make more sense to just make the entire emergency vehicle blink instead of the light. Yeah, that would be cool. He said it'd be distracting if the whole thing flashed. I can see that, but if the lights are on and the whole thing flashes, it probably is helpful. The current fancy UI is distracting enough. I don't think adding a flashing patrol vehicle would be much worse than Santa's Rainbow Sled.
Rainbow Road.
Sleigh and Rainbow Road. And the cowboy Easter egg. Don't feel the Reaper. It's really hard to turn the thing off. You have to get it to fart, basically, or make a sleigh bell. This guy says just don't turn it on, but Green, do you know how easy it is to turn it on accident? If you think it's not responding and you pull it 4 times instead of 2 times, then whoops, it's dancing.
More cowbell.
More cowbell. I gotta have more cowbell. I like the brake lights on the current vehicles. That was a weird question to me. Like, what? Have you not driven the car in a year? It's been doing semi-trucks for a long time.
I like how I just throw it in there. Like, can we get a question on this one?
So Spooktide said, I'm wondering if when showing other Teslas on the screen and when driving, if it sees a Ford, it becomes a trash can. And I've responded mine does draw BMWs as trash cans sometimes.
I've seen that too. I think at first I thought, oh, well, maybe it's because it's parked on the side of the road and maybe the computer's just confused and thinks it's trash. No, I think Tesla
it's throwing shade.
I think they purposely did that.
They're throwing shade.
Like old school Disney covers, the programmers are like, click.
I think it recognizes that it's a BMW and it just says, oh, that's trash.
Right. I hope the animations country. You know what'd be even funnier is if one of the folks on the team drives that BMW that's always being seen as a trash can, and
hey guys, let's play a little trick on everybody. Easter egg.
Let's just tell Jimmy what we think about his non-Tesla car.
And Elon's silly enough to let it fly.
I don't think he even knows.
No, once he does, he'll laugh at it.
So this guy's hoping that the animation is country specific, and he says the only blue over here in Europe. And this guy says nope, it's red and blue when you should pull over in Sweden. So apparently, Anders can confirm this for us, but apparently they're just all blue, and if they're directly behind you and want you to stop, they also add a red light to the flash that flashes with the blues.
Oh, so they do theirs different. Okay, so blue is what, just like caution or whatever, I guess? Or
the flashing blue. I think theirs is like flashing ours, blue, where if it's just a solid blue, they're just on duty.
Wait, what?
Those, yes, around here sometimes you'll see, like, if the lights are just on, they're on duty. It's the blue lights, the side ones on the end, or on the mirrors.
Okay.
Yeah.
But then, so I'm talking about flashing though. So they're.
Oh yeah, so the blue flashing means that they're in pursuit or on the way to a scene or something.
They're on the way to a call or something or doing something.
Yeah.
And then they'll flash blue and red if they're pulling you over.
If they're behind you, yeah. You need to stop. You'll see some red too. I think that's actually more. I mean, because how many times the cop is behind you and like, is that me? and then like you take too long to figure out what's going on, and they go around you, or you pull over and they just go by.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, just move over a lane and let them pass.
Right.
And then you move over a lane and then they're behind you. Like, oh wait,
they're still behind you.
Oh,
like,
it's me.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know it was me.
Right. I didn't do anything. And then you've got we saw one yesterday where it was in the passing lane. The guy was doing some speed, but not enough. And so we pulled over. The cop went past us, and he just sat behind the dude for like a good 30 seconds. And dude was just oblivious. Sirens going, lights going, everything. He's just sitting there hogging the left lane. So eventually the cop went in the middle lane and passed him, got back around in front of him. And he's still sitting in the left lane. I think that would be the ultimate.
Wow.
Like, if you get passed by a cop like on the right, and then he gets in front of you, it's like,
He's
might need
lucky,
to move over.
He's lucky that, I mean, because that's a huge ticket right there.
Several of them, actually.
I mean,
failure to yield.
Yeah, right. You're failing to yield to an emergency vehicle. That's a
Yeah.
huge ticket right there.
Yeah.
And then,
And it's not like it was jam-packed traffic. I mean, there was traffic, but it wasn't enough that there wasn't room to get over. Right. And even then, if it was that, then, that you're 2 miles an hour or less, you should be nudging up against the bar to give him room to get on the shoulder to get around you. Some people. Just
at least make an attempt to try to get over. And
right, at least let him know you see him. A little courtesy. Do you see ambulances too? I bet you the ambulance would be the same graphic, unless it is rendered as a bus.
That's all right. I had a guy the other day. I'm driving along, and I was in autopilot, so admittedly I wasn't paying as much attention as I should have been paying. Mm-hmm. And the car in front of me kept going. There was a school bus to the side, and I saw the bus, and I'm like, okay, there's a bus there. And then I realized, oh, the bus stopped, and the bus, he pulled out his stop sign, put on his lights or whatever, it stopped. So I'm thinking that my autopilot was going to stop for it, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's not going to stop for that. So like I kind of late, but I stopped. Yeah. I stopped for the I kind of stopped, broke harder than I should have needed to, but I stopped for the school bus. But the car in front of me, he kept going. And just went and totally disregarded that school bus. And then the car behind me, he laid on his horn, I guess because he didn't like me stopping the way that I stopped. But
that's the right thing to do.
Does that mean that he wasn't going to stop either?
Probably.
Because that means that's telling me that he's mad that I stopped.
Yeah.
So that means he probably wasn't going to stop
Exactly.
had I not stopped.
So while I was in the app, I noticed now that I didn't have this last night after the update, but I do have it now. I can lower my charge rate, which I guess means I can also raise it. Yep, I can lower it and I can raise it back. Okay. I can schedule charging. Okay. I cannot yet look through the videos onto Sentry mode, so... But they already told us 2021.40 would be where you can look through the cameras, and then shout through your speaker if you have it.
Wait, what version? They said you would be
2021.40, and then the latest version of the app, you can look through the cameras. So that was the 420 update that you can. Yeah, so 4.2.0, you can if your car has 2021.40, you can look through the cameras and all that cool stuff. So that was pretty cool because we saw that on the Apple got it first, but then none of the cars actually supported it, where you could lower and raise your charge rate and schedule the charge. And then if you have the Powerwall and variable rates, they have some cool stuff in there. So I got to tell Patrick about that because he also didn't have it last night where it would do that. So maybe it was a server change or something. I don't know. But we'll catch you on the flip side. All right, there we go.
Cool.
That was a good show. I was out of articles.